and external injector deposits. And EDT increases fuel economy by up to 7.3%. Scientifically proven by third-party testing. Add Hot Shot Secret at your next fill-up to get the most out of your diesel. Available nationwide at truck stops, farm and automotive stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over. Nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Right, time for the crossover with Powered by Little Country Repair. Omaha.com.
Good morning,
boys.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I just saw the picture of the field goal attempt by Notre Dame to win the game. You see, James Franklin had two guys back in case there was a fake.
I know.
They only had 9 guys on the line of scrimmage.
I was disturbed by this in the moment. I thought, are they in safe? Do they think they're going to fake it?
Was he out thinking Marcus Freeman?
Yeah.
Do you think Freeman said, "Oh, we're going to go with a fake here"? But
chess, not checkers, man. Chess, not checkers.
Well, I was listening to McElroy, who
chess.
said the kicking game was atrocious.
No, it was atrocious before when the Jeets was hurt. When the Jeets was out. Jeets has been great.
Okay, so we didn't get to this.
Jeets.
We teased this.
Sounds like a slur.
The reaction to Greg McElroy and Sean McDonough last night was a little mixed.
So funny.
There would be one tweet on my timeline, "These guys are great," and then the next one would be, "These guys suck."
Sean, great.
McDonough, we love McDonough. We love McDonough. I stand for McDonough.
Is McDonough better at football than hockey?
I don't think so. Hockey is like his bread and butter, right?
Now, he was really good at baseball.
He's just an overall.
He was really good at baseball.
Yeah, and he hasn't since.
I know.
He doesn't work anywhere that has baseball.
We miss him around here.
It's one of those things, though, with McDonough. Like, it's almost like he's DeBoer after Saban taking over after Doc, with the Stanley Cup and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Doc was in overtime. Yankton Zergensen. That was my Doc Emmerich impression.
I don't know. I know Doc is good.
Doc is the greatest.
Yeah.
I think my favorite announcer of all time. What did you just say?
That was a very bad impression.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It was awful. But Doc Emmerich's my favorite announcer, second favorite announcer ever.
People didn't like McElroy because he would say,
He's
right before Allar threw the pick, he kind of said he's gonna don't do something atrocious.
No, he said, I think we got to hit the gas pedal.
Let him loose. He's not going to make a mistake.
You got to trust him. You got to trust him. I'm like, well, maybe not, because he's kind of had a really bad game and he's kind of known for doing stupid things.
He hasn't completed a pass to a wide receiver.
Yeah. So the quote was
still odd.
So as they're running out onto the field when the game is tied,
you got it.
He goes, McElroy. I'm aggressive. McDonough asked him, what's the push and pull here? He goes, I'm aggressive for the most part all season long. His whole career, Drew Allar has made good decisions. He's got 50-plus touchdowns and 9 career interceptions. It's not likely a guy that's going to put the ball in harm's way. I trust him. I would empower him. Whoops.
Oops.
Yeah, he was rough last night.
He talked a lot.
No, Allar.
Allar and McElroy.
Yeah, McElroy. Never really been a fan, but he's fine.
Yeah, I think ESPN's on the struggle bus. Like, I don't know, is there anything that ESPN's doing well right now that we go, hey, it's pretty cool?
It's interesting because he wasn't really. You're oftentimes in those games, and what you're trying to do, I think, hopefully, as a broadcaster, is you're trying to convey how massive the moment is.
Yeah.
And I never, that was one of the best college football playoff games we've had.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never felt like it was conveyed to, the seriousness of the situation was conveyed.
I feel
appropriately.
I feel like they've done a poor job where going into this game, the feeling was, well, whoever wins this game is probably going to lose to Ohio State.
Maybe.
I feel like that kind of dragged.
Take your AFC championship.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose, or NFC championship.
And the game did get off to a slow start where you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's gonna be a slog.
And they talked about that after with SVP. They were like, we were looking at each other like, oh, is this gonna be what are we in for tonight?
Sure. Picked up in the second half for sure. But just the whole coverage and everything they've been doing. Ohio State. And I get it. Ohio State's been incredible. But they just didn't hype up this game as much as they should have. And then it was a great game though.
The heel Desmond Howard, though, tonight will be another night for him to shine because he's gone all heel as a Michigan guy, and so he's getting under Herb Street's skin. That elicited the swearing.
We will.
Oh no, he pulled a McMaster.
Portable mic now.
Yeah. Hey, it's a walk around, Mike. We can. We're gonna play the video of the Desmond Howard Kirk Herb Street.
Confrontation
back and forth before the show today.
You knew
during the show today.
You knew Howard was looking for not the kill shot, but he was grasping for straws a couple weeks ago when he was talking about Ryan Day and how maybe he shouldn't be the coach anymore. And he mentioned the Missouri game, how they lost to Missouri in a bowl game where all of their players had opted out and weren't playing. That was his argument. And he goes, "You just don't lose to programs like Missouri." And everyone's like, "Didn't 18 starters not playing that game? What is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, those guys can't really win because somebody's gonna be mad at whatever they say.
Oh yeah.
But
but just don't say something that egregious.
Okay, so back to your question.
Notre Dame
Gary.
isn't going to score.
What do we? I think we like Buck and Aikman.
Yes,
I think we like Buck and Aikman on Monday night. I think that's good. I think we like the Manning cast generally.
Okay, we like SVP when he's doing SportsCenter after games.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. Confirmed. We love that.
I like Malika Andrews and I like Mina Kimes. I think they're both good at their jobs.
Okay. Excellent.
Nebraska's own Mina Kimes.
Did you know that?
Omaha?
I think so.
I did
technically.
Yeah. I think someone mentioned when I came here in October. I think we had talked.
What about when
that.
she walked in front of the camera?
That was so funny. But she's she's like,
no,
she's really good, and she's a great writer as well.
She's a ball knower.
Yeah,
she's because she knows her stuff. I don't think, hey, who did she sleep with to get the job at ESPN?
Yeah,
because she knows what the hell she's talking about.
Exactly. She does, and it's impressive how there will be former NFL players on a panel with her. And she will talk and she'll kind of run circles around them, which is you just don't see. And it's not like a woman thing. It's a just sport thing. It's like a broadcaster thing. You just don't see any broadcaster put people who formerly played the sport in a pretzel like that. She's so impressive.
You guys came in here yesterday and I had not seen the clip yet at the Jimmy Carter funeral of Obama and Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, one side thing. Does Marcus Freeman, his mannerisms and his voice not remind you of President Obama?
Oh, I hadn't put that together, but
just
maybe
his delivery.
Yeah. Yeah. He's matter of fact. He speaks in short, punctual sentences,
But after you guys came in here and you were talking about it, I had not seen it yet and then saw it and it was everywhere. Matt and I were talking. Don't we need the John Boy breakdown?
We do.
So I've seen a couple of I can't tell what's real these days. Many people have tried. My favorite part of the presidential interactions yesterday was the tummy tap by W. Did you guys see that one?
No, I didn't see that.
So George W. Bush is coming back from being up front or whatever, and Trump and Obama are sitting there, and he walks right by him, and he just casually walks right by him, gives Obama the backhand tummy tap. I thought that was an incredible move.
That's like your grandfather from the other side of the family that you're not really related to, but you have a good relationship with.
The translation is, "Hey kid, how we doing?"
Yeah, it's like your second cousin's grandfather, and you see him at a barbecue, and you guys have had brief interactions.
He's like, we're not going to really talk today, but
yeah, exactly. We're not going to have a whole lot of interaction, but I want you to know that I acknowledge you and I kind of like you.
You guys ever have a grandpa that patted you on the head?
Yes.
Like when I was a kid, probably.
Yeah, but that was like their thing. They would pat you on the head.
Yeah.
When I got older, I'm like,
good boy.
That was very pity.
Yeah.
That was like a pity. Just
Grandpa's got to assert their dominance.
I never got the pat. I got the shake. Not a noogie, but
almost mess up your hair a little bit.
Not a noogie, but like a hey, attaboy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
But no, we need the John Boy breakdown.
I would assume
sure.
he's probably aware of the situation and we'll take a stab at it.
We're aware of the situation.
Yeah.
You gotta be aware of the situation. Our ass is in the jackpot. You gotta know it, Terry. You gotta know it.
Terry Collins.
You gotta give us a shot.
Terry Collins has a podcast, right? He's talking about something.
Now, see, I think
that's the name of the podcast, talking about something.
I got to shift here because when you say Terry Collins, I'm thinking of the former, most recently Mets manager.
That is the guy.
That's the interaction.
Yeah, our ass is in the jackpot.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You got to give us a shot. You got to know the situation.
That's
Terry.
that guy.
That's right. He goes at home plate and then he starts walking down the line.
You got to know the situation. I love those.
We were watching one of because they're doing this thing on MLB Network right now where they're playing all the All-Star games for some reason. It's great.
Really?
And yesterday we were watching the one in Miami, and I don't remember this moment at all, but it must have been Joe West's last All-Star game.
Oh.
And Nelson Cruz went up to hit, and he took a selfie with Joe West. And then he just started hitting. He started playing baseball. I'm like, wow, that was a moment in time. I don't remember this at all.
My favorite John Boy is when they start doing he starts voicing over himself, like he does the two guys simultaneously. It was like,
It's great.
We need more mic'd up managers, like the Earl Weaver stuff.
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and then to hear the interaction though with the umpires, who probably had a better relationship with players and managers back in the day.
Whatever hookup they got at Yankee Stadium for the sound, we just need that everywhere.
Yeah.
That was the
hot mics galore.
It was Yes Network with the Rays when Boone got thrown out.
Yeah,
and he walks up to home
and Brett
plate.
Gardner did the bat on the ceiling thing.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Who? Well, I don't know. Who said it?
That was a different one. That was the one this year when they threw Boone out because they thought he was chirping, but it was the guy sitting in the front row behind home plate. There was the other one where they threw out, my guys are savages in the box.
Well, they threw out Gardner, and Gardner goes, I didn't say a word. I didn't say one word. Not one word.
He started hammering.
And then CC got thrown out, and CC wasn't even playing. Like, he was just over the mound, just screaming at dudes.
I love it.
Like, we did a John Boy AI. Like, we see a video.
Oh, that'd be great.
And just put it into let AI do its work, and it comes up exactly what it is.
Maybe we're close to that.
I don't know. Maybe just mic up everybody playing baseball, every single person, and just hire a new conglomerate of people during a game who's listening to everything. And then at the 8th inning, put all the best together.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
And just a 2-minute, instead of a commercial break, hey, we're going to do 2 minutes of just all the best sounds of today. And just do it for do it for the national games. Or do it for every game. Maybe not every game would get annoying, but
because it's a lot of pressure on the guys who are mic'd up and they talk, during the All-Star game or during whatever, and they're doing during spring training. They do this a lot where they're doing an interview during the game, and it's only cool if they have to run down a fly ball
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that. Like that's what. Oh, I got to get on my horse
But
here.
they
Hold
do it-
on, guys.
They don't mic up everybody for hockey, but you can hear they put the mics in a way where you can hear everybody. And like during the biggest games, they will just take a point, a
The-
minute and a half.
The
and be
sounds of hockey are
Yes.
very, very good. You get the skates and the slapping of
Well,
the sticks.
The best part is too when you had Pierre in the middle between the two benches, and then they would cut to Pierre McGuire, and he would have the microphone, and you could hear them screaming at each other back and forth through his microphone. And it's just like they would have to like not bleep him out, but he'd be trying to talk, and then it just goes silent because
Yeah.
Carcillo is screaming at Pronger during the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals.
They do some good stuff. Like Fox will have a couple games every year where they go inside the huddles for college
Yeah.
basketball. I always enjoy those. Those are really
Like
good.
Mac is pretty open to being
Yeah.
mic'd up.
Have you ever shot that shot? You ever shoot that shot before? When have you ever shot that shot?
I would like to be mic'd up so people can hear the conversation at first base between the first baseman and the base runner.
Those are
Totally
great.
And then everybody wants to hear when a pitching coach comes out to the mound
Yeah.
and what they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's
Usually it's nothing. Usually it's just like, hey, I'm going
Yeah.
to give you a moment to calm the hell down here. You know,
there's a like so one of my best friends, he got drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, and him and I have actually had a long discussion of like, what are you telling this like your pitcher when you go out there? Because later in his career, when he was playing at Michigan State, he started calling the pitches. Typically it was the coaches, like that's typical in college, but they gave him the full onset, like, hey, you go ahead and you can call the
so
games.
he's a catcher.
So he's a catcher, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he would walk up and he goes, well, sometimes I'd be like, hey, let's just, slider's not there, maybe strategy. But other times he'd just walk up and be like, how's lunch today?
Yeah, how we doing today?
Or like there was like he had an inside joke
Mhm.
with the pitcher. And it was just like, an inappropriate inside joke that I can't repeat on.
You got to
air.
know your
But
pitcher though.
He would walk up
because
to him.
if a dude's locked in and you're coming out and you're trying to
Yeah,
do crap like that, I'm telling the catcher, I'm like, you better go back and sit down.
exactly.
right
But he
now.
walked up to him. He told him the joke. He chuckled. They both chuckled. They like loosened him up. They got out of the inning. And it's just like one of those where it's like, sometimes it is serious,
Yeah.
but he told me, he was like, most of the time, nah, like we're just chilling.
Baseball.
Speaking of mic'd up and behind the scenes, are they going to do a Chasing 3 bowl edition?
No.
Jeez.
Oh wow.
I-
Yeah.
Do you know how much money I would pay for just a cut up of the losing games for Chasing 3? Oh my Lord. What I would pay to have that creative department. Just here's what I want.
I
Hour
want
and
to
a
hear
half.
that speech.
Put the best parts of all 6 losses together. I would pay an exuberant amount of money to see that 6-loss hour and a half Chasing 3 film.
Probably learn more.
What would be the best game, the best loss to have audio from?
Indiana.
Probably be a lot of silence.
Exactly.
The silence is golden.
Exactly.
Illinois.
Oof.
Illinois, that locker room was pretty
Yeah.
stunned.
UCLA.
Tough one.
Yeah.
I bet the Ohio State one, even though they lost, would be sort of like
See-
uplifting.
I feel like the Ohio State one though would piss people off. Like there would be a lot of people who would be like, "Why are they happy? Why are they gung ho?"
Most of the like 95% of the things that they capture, I'm sure, would make people angry.
Oh yeah. Well, even when they won, people got angry. People didn't like it.
I don't know, Gary. I don't know when we're going to get the Chasing 3.
Have they haven't teased it at all.
I haven't seen anything. I
Like-
think we're
like-
moving on.
I know people are on vacation back from the bowl, but it's it's the 10th of January.
Yeah.
I probably could ask around if there's actually even if they actually even did it or if they worked on it, But
Tougher for a road game. Yeah, you don't have your whole crew there, but
I would have loved to see like if they did a spotlight because they do the specific player spotlights and they did the spotlight on a player and then they play that game and they were just awful. They were just absolutely
they
terrible.
interview the guys
Ass-
4 times throughout the
like-
week.
John Hold had an incredible year, had a really great year, turned it around, especially after the Ohio State game. But can you imagine if they did a feature on him before the Illinois game? And
Jeff
then-
says he'd
oof.
like to hear Dana Holgerson after the Isaiah Nayer drop at Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like
to
to-
say the least.
yeah.
I'd like to
But
hear the initial conversation between Dana and 18 as he refers to him.
Maybe there wasn't one. It's just like, okay,
Is Dana one of those?
I think I get
coaches-
it now.
Is Dana one of those coaches that refers to everybody by numbers, or was that just
No.
a thing that he had to
So
do?
at the beginning he did,
Yeah.
but as he
A lot
got
of
to know
cats
pro
out
players,
there.
when in their bowl stuff and all the conversation in the bowl,
Yeah.
like if you were in the portal, so he liked Nate Borkacher, but after Nate went into
84.
portal, he became 87.
Mhm.
He's like,
87.
you know,
Dang.
87.
We lost
So
87.
he referred to Nair one time as 18, and he had referred to him like 3 weeks earlier as Isaiah.
Mm.
Okay.
So a
Yeah.
little bit of a, I don't know, petty, but
I had a hockey coach like that where whole season.
You got to earn it.
No, it
You
was
got to. If I'm going to call you by name, you got to earn it.
it was no, it wasn't even the whole season. It was just we were all numbers. You just come up, hey, what's up, 6'2"? You know, I'm like, oh, hey, coach. You've
who
been-
was
My name's Matt.
yeah.
was it Bo or Callahan that it was only numbers? Like when they would break down the other team, they would just give numbers. Like number 5 is a good running back. You know, we all know the name, but the head coach is like, yeah, number 5, and then you know what, we got to really look on the outside for number 12.
I think Bo probably did that. Rule does that to a certain extent. It's
Yeah.
funny at those press conferences now. We don't really talk about the other teams anymore.
That's true.
Well, they don't. You know,
That's true.
There's always there's always something going on.
Well, you know, I will say this: they early on in those press conferences, people would try and ask about the teams, and especially Tony would just wouldn't give you anything. And so I think very quickly everyone recognized, okay, if you're going to get the best content out of the very limited time we have, just, you know, they're going to give you the coach speak, and they still do kind of give you coach speak. There was one time Rule said something, and he's like, if we do this, I won't do coach speak for the first 3 questions. For the first 3 questions, I'll give you actual answers.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Speaking
that was
of
crazy.
coaches doing press conferences right now,
James?
My guy.
your guy, Josh,
Mhm.
your fellow Burke alum,
My
Dan Jackson
Yes.
is having his
Hey.
introductory press conference at South Dakota State.
second most prominent member of Omaha Burke class of 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the first?
Yes.
Who else is in the running there?
End of list.
Okay, wow,
Uh,
that's it.
No.
There had to be somebody.
End of list.
Okay,
Sure. If they'd come to mind, wouldn't they?
I don't know. Maybe you.
There's probably like a doctor.
maybe they're out there and you
or
just
a
don't know.
philanthropist of some kind.
I would say that I would probably be close to the top of my class, but we do have a kid who's like a Navy SEAL. So I think that
Tough
yeah.
to beat.
he's going to be in the Navy SEALs.
There he
He's
is.
trying to be, yeah, he's pretty elite.
very excited.
He's gonna do a good job.
I want to see the suit game. Sorry, I'm watching the video.
He's not really a suit guy.
But I know that's why I wanted to see the suit.
Yeah,
He's got a pocket square.
above the emoji.
He's got a pocket square. You know, he's got the tie there.
You ever wear a 3-piece suit?
Probably like for prom.
At his wedding,
Yeah.
No,
I
No.
thought you had a vest.
no. Oh no,
You had a,
no. We did.
Happer thought about it for a
No,
second.
that was the one thing I was. I just wanted to do suits.
You three-piecer?
not for my wedding, but I have worn a 3-piece. I can't pull it off like Harvey Specter.
Yeah. Oh.
Like you have to have a certain body to wear a 3-piece all the time.
You do.
Odson, you ever do a 3-piece suit?
I'm sure I have,
Yeah.
but the bigger you are, the less a vest complements things.
I'm officially at the point where if I have a suit on, I don't always wear dress shoes. Like I'll polish up the Stan Smiths, or I'll polish up the nice Jordans that I own or whatnot.
Oh.
I'm in,
That's a move.
yeah, I'm in that like range where it's like, as opposed to like a Cuban strap or something, that I'm now wearing like gym shoes that are very nice.
Suits and sneakers.
Yes.
So you are in the Andrew Whitworth dressing.
No, I don't wear a hoodie. I don't wear a
Hey, hoodie with a sport coat. That's
Damon pulled it off the other day.
Apparently, it's a thing. Apparently, it's happening. I don't know.
Whitworth's been doing it for 2 years on Amazon. It looks great.
It's not.
It's
my
like his
thing.
bit. He never stops doing it.
Mhm.
He has to do it. He has to have a hoodie.
Didn't Tony Gonzalez try doing like the fedoras or the hats, and then it just kind of turned sideways?
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw
Yeah.
wasn't Terry Bradshaw rocking the fedora for a while?
Tony was trying to do the hats, and then it just didn't go his way.
On
Oh, no!
on
Speaking of hats.
First Take.
Cam.
So Cam Newton is on, but does Cam Newton have what we would call back in my day floods?
Yes.
Are those are
Yes.
those in because
Tho-
they call them capris?
Those would be high waters when I was a
Oh,
kid.
Yeah.
are you talking about the pants?
They'd be teasing
So I
me
got so pissed.
relentlessly.
I got
Yeah.
so mad. My tailor. Okay, so I don't think you two know this.
You didn't have a bed, but you have a tailor.
He's
Cam is just wearing normal clothes,
Yes.
but everything about him is different.
Well, the scarf, the
Scarf is
scarf and the
crazy.
hat.
It's just a collar that's
that's
popped
Mhm.
but he's got a
with
bow
a bow tie
But then he's wearing
and then
like
really
like
high
a
pants,
cashmere sweater.
really high waisted pants. All right.
We go to the cleaners.
So what's going on with your tailor?
So we go to the cleaners. The guy who does cleaners is also my tailor. And so you two don't know this, but Gary found out yesterday. Actually, I have hairy legs. Okay,
All right.
I
That tracks.
Don't ask why I know, but
yeah, I have very hairy
found
legs,
out.
and so I'm self conscious about it. You'll often see me in pants. Okay, even like kind of during the summer, I'm not a big short guy unless I'm like working out. And my tailor, with the pants, did the capris look. He tried doing the high ankle look because he was like, "It's in. You're young. Like that's what people are doing." And I stopped wearing those pants immediately because I would look good, and then you would just see the hairy ankles that I have on my suits. And it was like, I went back to him. I go, fix this now.
Yeah.
No.
I got
Done.
bullied in grade school because I wore floods one day.
Just really high pants.
Well, like where the bottom of my pants, you could see my socks.
Yeah.
And so people were making fun of me. And now fast forward, they're like in vogue.
I'm glad that I was in high school during the time which everything was still pretty baggy. You know, wait.
Were you in the era of the roll up the pant legs?
Yeah, I was.
I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't do that.
I was in the era of you tucked in the joggers into your socks. Like you wore higher socks and you would tuck in your joggers into the socks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
was
couldn't pull that off.
Yeah, that's out now. That used to, I think, for a good
Really?
3 years.
We're not doing that anymore.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, joggers just took off a few years ago. People are doing
No,
joggers.
but they would tuck it into the socks. I think.
See, that's
I
crazy.
think joggers
Yeah.
are still in, but the sock tuck is out.
Wow.
Tuck rule.
Fashion.
Hey, joggers now they have stylish joggers that you can wear like into a nice business.
Yeah.
Business casual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Costco. Costco is the home of like the nice casual
Yes.
jogger.
Is the puffer vest still in? You know, the like what Bryce McGowan's was wearing a
Oh.
couple years ago. Is that puffer, that red
Ooh.
puffer vest? Is that still banging right now?
I don't make the trends. I just
Yes, I was looking to you as trend czar.
So in
Connor
trends,
Happer.
because you're not a jeans guy.
no, I don't wear jeans.
See, I wear jeans almost every
I
day.
wear jeans, and someone brought that up actually on our last road trip for basketball. They're like, "How can you wear jeans traveling
Oh,
in
they're
a,
just
on,
so
a- on an
heavy.
airline?"
Yeah, I've recently stopped wearing jeans.
They're just so heavy.
I love jeans.
I
love-
don't like jeans.
So what I think people are misunderstanding here is that yes, back in the day, jeans were a little tighter. Okay, they got tight in the places that you didn't necessarily.
but they're
want them to
still
be
so
tight.
heavy. It's the material.
I don't think of heavy.
Yeah.
I don't think of heavy material. I jeans nowadays that they make. I think I have jeans that are more comfortable than some pajama pants that I wear.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
That's
I don't
how
wear pajama
comfortable-
pants either.
that's how
That seems like
comfortable some
a
of my
huge
jeans
waste
are.
of time. Pajama pants are the biggest fraud in America.
That is insane take from you. I wear pajama pants every day before I go to bed. No shirt, pajama
pants
Yeah.
while sleeping.
Yes. I like to be warm.
Could you
He wears
imagine
pajama pants? He likes to be
the,
nice
sec-
and serious.
the
No, I don't.
second I get home? No more pants.
Yeah.
But I'm no more pants too, but then I put on pajama pants.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
No, I don't wear pants in the house.
No.
Gotta be
would you?
cash.
King
Why
of the
would you?
castle. King of the castle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's shorts, basketball
But
shorts.
now it has dawned on me. I've never seen you in jeans.
I don't wear jeans. I don't think I've worn jeans here once.
But you're the comfy. You're the
I-
really.
I haven't worn jeans in years.
You're
You
the
own a pair?
I think. I mean, I have them, but I don't know if they fit or. I just think I can't go back now. I've already experienced the lighter pants.
You're the comfy apparel guy. Like you wear the row back and you wear the, you definitely have the Instagram apparel hack where you see a guy who's like, I got a true classic tee and it makes me fit nice in the arms and tight at the waist. And,
Exactly.
And you buy it.
I look like that guy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you only have until the 19th to buy it.
To buy what?
TikTok.
Oh yeah, I don't.
You
buy
think it's
stuff
gone?
I learned my lesson on
I'm
TikTok.
hoping for Trump.
Buying stuff on TikTok. I tried to buy a table. It was like a table that had couple drawers in it, and it was like super connected, like it had Bluetooth and like a charger on top or something like that. I was like, I'm gonna buy this. It's only like
Was half of it a cooler?
$120. Yeah, half of it. Yeah, there was a cooler drawer.
Okay,
Thank you. Yeah.
Seems like something you would require in a table.
100%. I was fired up about the table. It was a scam.
Oh no,
it was.
I've been.
I was like, I'd like my money back.
I'm 3 for 3 on the Instagram, TikTok purchases right now. I've been pretty good. I bought 3 tables yesterday. Fun fact.
3 tables.
Yep. It's a lot of tables. A lot of tables at NFM. Came home with, got a whole set. Dude, apartment's almost done. We're almost fully furnished.
Congrats.
I know.
How's it feel?
People were telling me about the NFM card. I was like, I won't do it.
I've told you about this before.
We got it.
Of course you did.
We got it.
You have to.
So we got the NFM card. We're good to go. I think we're trending toward we've already established a day. We're having a housewarming party. None of you are invited, but we're having a party and we're established and we're trending toward being ready for that date.
Good work.
Yes.
Jesse says, get used to sweats, Connor, unless you want to be the old dad that walks outside in underwear and an open robe to grab the paper.
What are you, Tony Soprano?
So here's the thing, like,
it's 2025.
I don't
No
have to
one's
go get
getting
the paper. The paper's already on my phone. Yeah, I got the paper.
No, I bought one article from
I don't go
from
outside.
a certain publication in the state, and they can't stop calling me to renew my subscription.
If it's a normal day and I don't have an event at night that I have to go to, I'm 2 locations. I'm work and home. The door is shut and there's no activity outside my house unless I have to mow or something that. There's no, I'm not going outside.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to take out the trash, but I could,
you can get away with it.
Figure it out for about 30 seconds, just live through it.
It was great. There was a point where I had no roommates for a month and I had to go out and get something. And I go, oh, I don't have to put pants on. I can just walk out and get it.
Well, I think the crossover's over. No, not because of anything you said. It's just the time is up.
Go home and take your pants off, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yes.
You earned it.
That should be the Friday, motivation.
You going anywhere this weekend? You got to.
No, I'm at basketball tomorrow.
Yep.
1. Stop by.
Home game. Pack the Baxter.
You get done with watching the Jays from Hinkle Fieldhouse?
Actually,
Come on over.
it kind of fits in. It fits right in before the NFL starts.
Yeah. 11, 1. NFL starts what, at 3:30?
3:30.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Intriguing. I've been meaning to get out there. I haven't been in a year or 2.
I heard Dan Jackson's going to be
there. So he did say that, but is it the women's game?
Oh, did he actually say that? Why would he be there?
So he said that yesterday. He made some video and he goes, "Hey, I'll see you at the basketball game." I thought he was implying that it'll be in Omaha, but I think the women.
Gotcha.
I think they're playing at South Dakota State.
Gotcha. All right. Enjoy your weekends.
Thank you.
Enjoy
boys.
the football. Enjoy your bye week. Enjoy your bye.
Ohio State, Texas. We're
Ohio
all Buckeyes.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Horns down.
Definitely.
All right. Consolation game is going to be good.
Yeah, it might be. That's the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. It's Friday on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. We had a football game last night. Did we ever?
We did.
It was
the
good.
Fastest first 28 minutes of a football game ever.
Yep.
And then it caught up.
Did you watch the halftime performance from that one country singer that I had never heard of, but that sounds like all the other country singers and sings about all the same things that all the other country singers do?
No.
I don't even remember his name. That's how innocuous it was.
I watched Celebrity Jeopardy and then caught up to the game before it ended.
Wow. See, I can't do that.
By only skipping commercials. I didn't this is a garbage drive. I know how this drive. Nope, just caught up.
You're one of the best people I know at watching things not live. And watching things on delay. I don't have the patience for it. I have to watch things live. I can't not watch things live.
It upsets me that I wasn't able to be a part of the Twitter discourse during the game
It's
until
not
the very end.
Yeah. It's a little that, I guess, but I gotta be in it and feel it,
But also it forces me to put my phone away.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Josh, your little sub here says ball knower today.
Knower.
Is this true?
Yeah. I think I'm the only one in human history to pick Notre Dame, the favorite, to win the game last night.
I saw your tweet. Your tweet last night is people were yelling at me for picking Notre Dame. I was like, I didn't want to pick the fight, but I was like, who was saying this?
Yeah.
Who shamed you for choosing Notre Dame?
I'll read the tweet and then you tell me if you think this is real or not.
Okay.
They called me crazy for picking the favorite to win the game tonight. Who's crazy now?
But you do that sometimes. You're like, they told me I was an idiot for doing this. You do that sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
I was like, I picked Penn State, so I may have called you an idiot for picking Notre Dame. I'm not sure, but it's definitely possible that Notre Dame was going to win the game.
I think ball knower Josh Peterson also was. You were all Big Ten pilled, and sometimes you get a little insulated.
No, we said it was going to be a game that came down to the last couple possessions, and boy, did it ever.
Not even who made the most mistakes. Who made the last mistake?
My only regret is trusting Drew Allar.
Well,
thinking that he was the better quarterback in the game. Ooh, not pretty. Not pretty from him last night. And then he made the big one. All right, today on the show, we'll, of course, talk about that game last night and what it means, and people yelling at James Franklin. Just reactivated the James Franklin can't win the big one train, which was predictable.
A lot of people forgot.
I think we even talked about that a lot yesterday. Bryan Munson will join at 11 o'clock. Bryan Christopherson at the bottom of the 11 o'clock hour, and Steve Sipple will stop by in the noon hour. That is the lineup powered by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you all. 402-951-1620. You can call or text that number on the hotline. You can tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. Those of you who are watching on 1620 The Zone TV on YouTube or on zonetv.live, like Charles, who says that halftime performance was good.
The halftime performance was good.
I believe Charles when he says that.
Yeah, sure.
That's for sure. Elsewhere, we will take a closer look at the NFL playoff games this weekend and make selections. We will not select the Monday night game. We'll hold that.
Well, yeah, that's
because we'll do a show between now and Monday.
God willing.
The game. Yeah, I think so. That's the plan anyway. So we'll take a closer look at those. Another person that caught some strays last night.
Oh,
Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly. Ouch.
Tough day to be him.
He had some quotes before he left for LSU, and those came back to haunt him last night after Marcus Freeman is taking the Fighting Irish to the national championship game in just his third year. We'll take a look at our local basketball teams this weekend. Creighton heads to Josh's favorite American city.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
And in a building that has been proven difficult to win in. Nebraska heads to a city that is close to Josh's favorite American city, in the same state as Josh's favorite American city, in a building that has literally been impossible for them to win in throughout the history of their program.
Impossible?
Never have they ever won a game at Mackey.
I was once told anything's possible.
Well,
it was shouted.
It's possible now, but it is proven to be impossible to this point. Texas and Ohio State tonight. And we'll take a closer look at Kirk Herbstreit and what he's up to.
Guy's always up to something. What's this kid tweeting?
It's daily now where he says something.
The January 20th cannot get here quick enough for Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
He needs to just lay low for a few months.
He needs some time off.
Do we think that's what it is? The travel and the constant work is finally getting to him?
It's possible.
Just now thinking of this.
I guess. It is possible. Ben writes in on the text line.
Hi, Ben.
Stop the show now. All right. Your
Seems
request, your demand is I can make it happen for you. Okay, we're stopping the show. We're going to read this text. I cannot move on watching the show until I know if Josh Odson knows what a free throw and the free throw line is.
BA Coach's Show on Twitter also asking if I know what a free throw is.
Yes. So, Josh, no reason at all. Can you confirm these?
I will tell you that I am 39 years old. I produce a sports radio program. I am middle management at said radio station.
That apparently doesn't matter.
Of course, I know what a free throw is and the free throw line.
Thank you for confirming this. Would you like to show your work? Can you explain what it is?
It is they're in the lane, as it is colloquially called. There's a
line at the top of it.
There's a line, almost exactly halfway through the circle, and a player will stand there, dribble the ball way too many times, flip it incessantly before shooting,
and it's free, uncontested.
Yes, when you are fouled, that is the spot you will be shooting it from.
Yeah,
and when you shoot it from there, Kevin Garnett will yell horrible things about your mother.
Other than when the player is fouled and the person is required to go to that line, what happens with that line? Is it meaningless? Does it mean anything at all?
No.
Correct. I think you're right.
There's a 3-point line.
Yes.
Several feet outside of that line. That if you shoot from behind that line, both feet behind that line, you are awarded an extra point for your effort.
What if your little piggies are on the line, like now, Kevin Durant that one time?
During a commercial break, they will look at it and decide if they need to adjust the score in any way.
The ref will go like this, and they'll say, we're not going to stop this game, but we're going to go look at that when the game does stop. All right. We got that out of the way. I think you answered those questions correctly.
Thank you.
And it appears as if we can now go on with the show.
That's important for listeners. You want to know that you got ball knowers talking to you through that little box in your car, your desk, wherever.
Josh claims to be a ball knower. So I would, that's the 100 level course.
I made money with my ball knowing last night.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You were pretty emphatic about it. You were like, I'm gonna choose Notre Dame. And I'll attach my own money to it. The favorite. And people will yell at me for this take.
They'll call me crazy.
They called him crazy. All right. We'll come back here. We'll take a look at last night. Glad you're along with us here on a Friday on 1620 The Zone. From the NFL, Adam Schefter says Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson underwent surgery yesterday after tearing his Achilles again, and now his status for the 2025 season is in jeopardy. You hate to see such bad things happen to such good people.
I hate to see such convenient things happen to such terrible people.
It's Popcorn Friday, Josh. Popcorn's here.
It is. I don't believe for a second he retore that Achilles.
Not to get too behind the scenes here, but did pop out during the break and use the restroom. And in there, I found our favorite.
What do you mean in there?
In the bathroom.
Okay,
that's
what I thought you meant.
I found our dear Colorado sports fan salesman
Buff Josh,
who tried to give me the elevator pitch on making the selection of the Denver Broncos beating the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. And
that's not a ball knower.
I wasn't really hearing it.
Okay.
I wasn't really hearing it. But he was persistent.
Okay.
He's like, I think. And he even tried to convince me that Buffalo would have rather played Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
And then he does this thing where he just goes, I don't know. And it kind of makes you think, like, what's he know? And then, but I think he's just a crazy guy. He's just a wild and crazy guy.
Not that you're at least a year ahead of schedule, Broncos fans.
Yeah.
Like this.
You don't have to win this one. It's money in the bank already. It's all right. So I will. I don't think he got all the way to the finish line in convincing me that the Broncos are going to beat the Bills on Sunday, but I wish him good luck in his endeavors. We all do.
Happy for him.
Go Broncos. Travis, you hear that?
Not go that far.
I mean, they're not going to win, but I generally root for them as a team.
That state is a scourge on this great country of ours.
You do hate Colorado. Mm-hmm. All right. Drew Allar.
Drew Allar.
So we don't have to boil it all the way down to that because of what Notre Dame did to get the field goal before half was really important.
So big.
And
even my wife went, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah.
Because she was making fun of me for picking Notre Dame.
How much do football dudes love saying the middle eight?
Middle eight. Oh, yeah.
And they want it. And I don't like, just from the naked eye, it doesn't feel like they really changed much. You know, they kind of doubled and tripled down on what they were doing.
Hey, our quarterback's out. Could you just throw it 4 yards downfield?
What they have, like, what they have 20 yards rushing in the first half? Like tops? Something
very, very small.
It wasn't, they weren't doing anything on the ground. And, you know, they do constant interviews at these games now. You know, they got 4 sideline reporters and they're talking to the coaches after every possession, it feels like. And so one of the ones coming out of the second half, or for the second half with Marcus Freeman, or maybe it was going into the fourth quarter, he was talking about, hey, well, you know, yeah, we opened things up in the pass game. That's because we got better in the run game. So they just doubled and tripled down on what they do and stayed the course and knew, trusted their defense, understood that Penn State wasn't going to get too far in control of the game, stayed the course and grinded it all the way out to tie it after the first possession of the third quarter, and then we were off and running from there. And then it really did become that kind of game. Penn State was controlling it. And I did trust Drew Allar. I trusted him too much.
Well, they hadn't made a killer mistake like that throughout the whole game, really.
No, they hadn't done anything that really threw them off script at all in the postseason, in the playoff.
So it was
with 2 games against SMU and Boise.
It's kind of like that their running back's they're gonna power him down the field, for a field goal.
But it turns out that I don't know how much, you know, if you ask the coaches, I don't know what they would say to this directly, but Notre Dame being really, really, really physically challenged and against Georgia last week, like I think that gave them a certain comfort, knowing that they can be the team that kind of gets dominated. Once again, I don't think the coaches would explain it to you this way, but they could get physically challenged and to a certain extent physically dominated and still find a way to win the game. I think that helped them in the latter portion of that game. And they know going into the final against Ohio State, probably, hell, even Texas, they'll probably be at a physical disadvantage again, but they won't care, right? And so the experience of doing that and understanding that, I think really worked for them last night. And Penn State obviously was not in that position in either of their two previous games against Boise State and SMU. They were the dominant team, and they continued. They stepped on the gas every single time. They were always in control of their games, and not that Notre Dame wasn't in control against Georgia, because I always kind of felt like they were. But I think there's something in there. There's something to that, and they had been playing with their. They've been playing with their backs against the wall. A lot was made of that after the game. They've been playing with their backs against the wall. I mean, how much great pub did Northern Illinois get last night?
So much.
Northern Illinois was the third most talked about team in the game, certainly. And then you fast forward to what we thought was going to be the final drive, and Greg McElroy, the color analyst of the game for ESPN, as Penn State's coming back onto the field, he says, quote, "I'm aggressive. For the most part, all season long, his whole career, Drew Allar has made good decisions. He got 50-plus touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It's not likely a guy that's going to put the ball in harm's way. I trust him. I would empower him." And I heard that and I thought, yeah, but you really have to be careful. You really have to be careful, because if you turn it over, you pretty much automatically lose. And what they run one play and they gotta run, and then the second play, first 2 reads were turned down, and then he goes back to the other side of the field and throws it late over the middle, and back behind him, intercepted.
They got ball hawks on that team, man.
Yeah, but it's a bad throw. It's an ill-advised throw.
Yes, absolutely.
You're right. They cover. It's an ill-advised throw. And so even in that moment, I thought, gosh, I don't know how, like, I think I trust him, but I don't know how much, because I got done talking about throughout the playoff. Like, I think Allar is a little bit different here. And that was not the case. And Riley Leonard, nobody would tell you that Riley Leonard is like the better quarterback out of the two, but he made more plays. And his backup led a drive at the end of the second quarter to get them in position. I mean, that was huge. They got a couple breaks in there, but his backup did a really good job.
Would he go like 6 of 7? Yeah, 6 of 7.
I like a quarterback whose name is Steve. That guy's name is Steve. I was
Steve
like,
Young?
I haven't seen a quarterback named Steve in a long time.
Yeah.
You don't see many Steves.
Tommy Cutlet's agent was on the phone and like, "Hey, get me Angeli. I can back a quarterback named Angeli."
What a game. One of the rare playoff games that we've had so far that featured two teams who were basically mirror images of each other, and you knew it was going to come down to one or two things, and it did exactly that.
These are the same exact team.
James Franklin today, predictably taking a little bit of a beating online. I'm usually all for it. But I don't think this one is appropriate. They'll still say he can't win the big one, but I don't know, man. I maybe the criticism is to have been a little bit more careful on that final possession, a little bit, but that's in hindsight. If they go down and they complete a couple passes and they get on the outskirts of field goal range and they give themselves a chance to win the game, then we're all lauding James Franklin for handling it perfectly.
I mean, does he have to go in the huddle and like, okay, don't do anything stupid,
right?
Every single play.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. That one's not on him from my perspective.
He had done so well most of the year of staying out of the way, and I can't really chalk this loss up to him, but yeah, he's gonna bear the brunt of it.
He's taking it, that's for sure. And I'll repeat this: I love that those two teams. I thought it was good for the football product that both of those teams had played 2 games leading into that game. I think just the history of what we've seen in the semifinal and then in the final of the 4-team college football playoff shows that there is this almost Super Bowl-like feeling out period. There's the jitters. There's okay, what are we going to be today? Where are the and they know what they want to do going into the games, but it seems to in playoff games and in the 14 playoff, the semifinal and the final, it seems to always play out that way where there's just this there's this thing in the first quarter where it's like, don't lose it in the first quarter. Don't lose it in the first quarter.
All right, we know we're not going to get routed. Okay, now we can kind of work a little more of our game plan in.
And I thought the experience of those 2 teams, it feels when you're playing your 3rd game in the span of 3 weeks, it feels like just another game. It's a big game in a neutral site location. And you don't have all the week-long media, right? You fly in a couple days before and you do a little bit and there's extra because it's a semifinal game and it's a playoff game, but it's not as big of a production as the semifinal was in the past. And I thought that was really advantageous for the product of the game. Both teams came out. Yeah, both teams came out just, they were as hot as I thought they were going to be. I didn't think it was Notre Dame's jitters that led to them being physically dominated in the first in the first quarter basically of that game.
Well, I mean, when did they lose those 2 O linemen?
Who?
Notre Dame, sorry.
That right. What do you mean? What do you mean? When did they lose?
Was that early in the game or late in the game? I don't remember when Notre Dame lost. I mean, they lost 2 linemen throughout the course of that game.
But what's your point? What do you mean?
That would equate to Penn State being able to kind of take advantage of some of the newer Irish linemen and I mean, get to Riley Leonard and force him to do things.
Right. So, I mean, I thought that was advantageous for both teams. And we got a real life competitive kind of championship level football game, which was really, really cool. Elsewhere from this game, we have a few other things that we want to talk about throughout the remainder of the show today, including Brian Kelly catching strays. We'll take a look at the college football playoff game tonight between Texas and Ohio State in Arlington, all as we go on throughout the show. But let's talk some Huskers with Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. He joins next on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, joined now on the phone by our good friend and now about to be weather correspondent, Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Munson, hello. How are you?
Yeah, I think we're leading. The race for snowfall right now.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had some really nice, huge snowflakes falling yesterday morning, and my 8-month-old golden retriever was just digging it, and he's loving eating the snow off of the deck right now. And it's supposed to be still pretty cold, but I think we're through like any new accumulation, and it probably should warm up from here on out. So whatever's there is probably going to be gone here in a matter of hours. But I think we are ahead of you right now statistically in 2025.
Yeah, well, we all it would take would be anything because we got nothing. I mean, it's kind of amazing for this. It's coming. There will be something, but a lot was made out of the weather in your area this week. Is everything handling it okay? Like, what's the situation?
Yeah, we got a guy that my youngest son grew up with his son. He's kind of a, I don't know, weatherman by kind of, I guess, by hobby. And he posts on social media all the time. But he said we were like 2 degrees away from really having a nightmare. I mean, it really came down to just a couple of inches, as Al Pacino would say, in the movie. But he basically said, like, we were just a couple degrees away from things getting really, really, really nasty down here on the ground. Atmospherically, it was just still a little bit too warm. But on my end, I'm way on the east side. If you're looking down at the map, like, go clear out to the east side of Dallas, find the Lake Ray Hubbard, and I'm right there. That's me, like, sitting there on the map. But if you were north and northwest, you got a little bit more than what I did. And I saw some videos. It was pretty incredible, like, to see some of that stuff. It was nothing like what we saw over here, but we still have snow on the ground, snow on the rooftops and everything like that. And the dogs are still digging it. So,
all right. Well, I'm glad to hear everything. It didn't, it wasn't as bad as it could have been down there. That's a good thing. That's for sure. All right, Munson, from a recruiting standpoint, you wrote about it today in your section of Tunnel Talk, but it's one of the things that I'm always super interested in as well. When coaches go out and they hit the road, who do they visit first? Where do they go? And what region of the country are they really honed in on? What have we gleaned from what Nebraska coaches have been up to this week on the road recruiting?
Well, we've seen coaches, so far they've been, Florida, Texas for the most part. You've seen Mosey and Houston area making a new offer, and there was an offensive lineman, 2027 guy in Florida that said that he was going to see Keith Williams later this week. But we do know, and this was the big part, like usually when the head coach goes out, that's the real one that I take a lot of stock in that, because Nebraska only gets that one chance to like walk through the door. And if it's anything less than the head coach, then it's like, okay, that's big. But when Matt Rule is there, it means a lot. So he was in St. Louis yesterday, and they stopped by to see 2026 defensive lineman Titan Davis. Titan Davis is from DeSmet High School, visited Nebraska, I think, 3 times last year, was supposed to be there in the fall, got sick. He's clearly way up on Nebraska's board for defensive linemen in the 2026 class. But then they also went over to Kirkwood, and they saw Jacob Eberhardt. Eberhardt picked up his offer. I want to say it was the UCLA weekend. And he's listed as an athlete by On3 because I think he's also a high school quarterback. But Nebraska sees him playing safety. And I caught up with him last night. He was blown away that they basically, rolled as many coaches in there with Matt Rule as what they did yesterday. So it was like Rule and Keith Williams and John Butler and Rob Dvorak and EJ Barthel. All those guys were by to see Eberhardt yesterday, and he was really blown away by the attention. But then it sounds like at least Nebraska will be remaining in the St. Louis area today for at least the first part, because they're going to go see Keenan Harris over at the University High School. He's been in Nebraska a couple times this year as well. He's probably right at the top of Nebraska's board as far as a linebacker. I thought maybe Jackson Cantwell might get a visit as well, but I couldn't get a hold of Jackson last night or this morning. Jackson's actually headed down to Texas. He's going down to A&M for a visit this weekend. So I don't know if that's going to happen, this week or maybe in the future here with Cantwell seeing the Nebraska coaches come by his school. But right now, Matt Rule is hitting St. Louis hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably music to the ears in Nebraska.
No doubt. I mean, that's certainly the big takeaway of sending all those coaches down to that area. For multiple days, it seems. What ultimately, because we've talked a lot on this show about their struggles there or their attempts there over the years. What ultimately might open the door for them in St. Louis, which has obviously been proven to be a very fruitful recruiting territory for many schools across the country over the years?
Yeah, there's kind of a trick of just being consistent there, I think. Nebraska doesn't have the geography, I think, to kind of, to St. Louis to go beat an Ohio State, like to go ahead and say, stay closer to home or something along those lines. But I think if Nebraska can be consistent, and that's where I think that they really do a great job in how they attack recruiting, where, they don't just offer and forget and then come back around. There's a consistency in how they build the relationship and how often they are communicating. And I think that Keith Williams is really turning out to be a terrific recruiter for Nebraska as well. So having a guy that has those ties to St. Louis will definitely help. I think it also, and this is something I tried to emphasize, like in 3 and Out a little bit, and they got asked about chat as well on Wednesday. I think that this is an excellent staff when it comes to recruiting. At least it has the makeup to be a really good group of recruiters that Matt Rule has on his staff. So I'm going to be very interested because they have taken a couple of early L's. Let's be honest. I mean, you lost out on Dunnigan, who's basically a legacy K-State guy who goes to Kansas, and then you lost out on Hunter Higgins as well. So I think those are two guys I felt like Nebraska was. I thought they were the leader for Higgins for the longest time. I had to flip my commitment prediction for him. I was a little bit more on the leaning towards K-State for Dunnigan, then he kind of still pulls the old switcheroo and goes to KU. Those are two, what I would consider to be, battleground kind of state guys because they're border guys and they've been in Nebraska several times. So it's going to be really interesting to see because like we talked about the seeds being sown in the 2026 class. And I felt like they were really in a great spot with where things ended. Then all of a sudden you had just as, changes in the coaching staff, questions about this, how are things going to be kind of moving forward, and maybe a little gap in communication too from when all those changes happened through the bowl practices, the bowl game, and now having to pick back up again and trying to get back as close as you could to where you were in that time in November.
Yeah. Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com is with us. Hey, I wanted to ask you, so if I'm reading this right, it's hard to keep these straight for me, so help me out. The Army All-American Bowl is now the Navy All-American Bowl. Is this correct?
Yeah. So last year I was a little bit confused by that too. So last year, because I was digging through my wardrobe and I still had an Army All-American polo from years and years and years ago, and I was going to wear it, and then I was kind of discouraged to say that they said, no, it's not the U.S. Army All-American Bowl anymore. It's just the All-American Bowl.
Okay.
And I said, okay. So then this year, the sponsorship or the relationship now between the All-American Bowl is with the U.S. Navy. So it's the same game, same location, just,
gotcha.
Just a different sponsor or a different type of party that they have a relationship with. And there is an Army game, and that's the one that like former Nebraska commitment Bear Tenney is going to be part of, and it's going to be played like in Frisco.
Okay.
But there's only like 3 like real legit games that like they don't have like some sort of a charge of money to kind of, it's basically like an all expense paid kind of, we're doing this thing.
Right.
kind of deal. But other ones, like, there will be a charge, like the Blue Gray, the OD game, the Army All-American game in Frisco. There's several other ones out there, but it's like Under Armour, the Polynesian Bowl, and now the Navy All-American game.
Okay, so those are the main three. So the Navy All-American Bowl, which is going on tomorrow, will have Christian Jones and from Westside and Cortez Mills, who committed to Nebraska several weeks ago now. Those are Nebraska ties in that game. Is there any other in All-Star games, like those big ones that I'm missing, or is it just those two?
So the Polynesian Bowl then is the following Friday. I think I'm looking at my calendar to come up here really quick.
We remember the Polynesian Bowl from last year. We all watched the Polynesian Bowl last year.
Right. I think it's the 17th, and it's in the afternoon because of the time difference between Hawaii and here. I think maybe it pushes out to 8 o'clock or something like that. But absolutely. So last year it was Carter Nelson, Taumua, and obviously Dylan Raiola. This year, Christian Jones will be pulling the latest Carter Nelson and playing in both of those games, the All-American Bowl and the Polynesian Bowl. And then also you will have Houston Torres in the Polynesian Bowl. But something to remember, and I tried to list this out a little bit into 3 and Out on Wednesday as well. This is the first year that they will have non-senior participants in the All-American game.
Oh, interesting.
So there's 22, I think I counted, on the Navy All-American roster, and there's several guys that Nebraska has offered that will be part of that game that have not committed to anywhere. There's a few other guys that obviously committed to other places, but then there's some guys obviously in the Polynesian Bowl too that'll have the same thing. There's some like Malachi Lee, who was a big-time recruit that visited Nebraska very late in the season. He'll be down there, and there's some other guys. I tried to bring that out a little bit. So go back and read my 3 and Out, and there's kind of a list in the middle in the second section about who's all to kind of pay attention to in those games.
And so it's a big stage for the two that I mentioned in particular with Mills and Jones. I feel like we have to remind people of this every year. The big deal is sort of like the week of practices and the one-on-ones and the drills and stuff like that. And then there's the game, and then you never know how many snaps you're going to get, and it's all situational and stuff like that. And it's an all-star game where kids are, they don't want to get hurt and all those things as well. So, what would you expect from those two? And how has the week been for them getting prepared for the biggest all-star game there is?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is I think it was yesterday, On3's been doing a great job. I think it's like the top 10 eye catchers, I think is what they're calling it when they released the little edit. But Cortez Mills was top of the list yesterday.
Wow.
And I tried to get a hold of Charles Power and Chad Simmons last night to maybe get a little bit of a comment to put into my Tunnel Talk, but unfortunately those guys were tied up covering the bowl game stuff last night. I think the combine started yesterday. So, and then the weather's been obviously a factor there a little bit too. I'm sure logistically it's a challenge, but I think Cortez is a guy that stood out so far this week. When it comes to defense, it's always those offensive guys, seem to kind of take the front, the front seats, basically with the eyes on who's watching who, and the offensive tackles and the battle in the trenches a little bit. But I'm assuming Christian Jones is going to get plenty of playing time because of the type of talent, obviously, they always bring in to play against him offensively. But keep a good eye out on Cortez Mills because he's been catching a lot of people's eyes so far this week.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that. I remember it's less of a tradition now, maybe than it used to be. I don't know why.
Yep.
I can't really explain it, but it was. I would always wake up on that Saturday morning and it would be like, oh yeah, well this game, let's watch some guys commit, and maybe that's part of it too. But
and that's part of it. That announcement part is gone. And there's really a hard time trying to get relevant again, putting it in front of that earlier signing date now in December, which is now really the signing date. So, and used to be like the peer recruiting aspect.
Yeah.
Go down there and talk to some, that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, Nebraska's not looking at anybody in the 2025 class. They're on to 2026 and beyond. So, there's a lot of stuff a lot has been lost on these games.
How do you feel about your Bills on Sunday? There was a side there.
I don't like. I don't like 8.5 points.
Okay.
I'd be doing like a money line pick, I think, here, but Nix is a heck of a quarterback and Peyton is a great coach. I think the weather, if it was a little bit worse, I'd give huge kind of props to Buffalo playing in it, but Denver gets after the quarterbacks, and their defense does. And even though Josh Allen's like the least sacked quarterback in the league this year, that's going to be a big thing for me to watch, is if they can get pressure on Josh or not. So I like them. I don't like them 8.5 points like them, but I think that they should win on Sunday.
All right, Munson. Well, enjoy the weekend of football. Appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, buddy. Be good.
That's Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. You can check out his section and all the others. Husker Online's Tunnel Talk today. They have that rolling. It's rolling. And all of Munson's other work on Cruton.
Hula Bowl tomorrow as well.
Well, the Hula Bowl is a pro prospect game.
Well, it's a collection of players.
It is. Is there any other notable names in the Hula Bowl besides your favorite quarterback?
Nah, a bunch of bums.
Have you looked?
I did glance at the roster. It's a lot of MAC and Mountain West players.
Hula Bowl roster preview. Mm. All right, let's see if there's any names. We got Peyton Thorne.
Yeah, that was the one. Okay.
We got Connor Bazelak. We got Brady Cook. We got Will Rogers. There's some quarterbacks in there. No real running backs that names jive. Okay, wide receivers. Yep, a lot of there's a couple Florida guys. Oh, Chimere DK.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. But we remember him from Wisconsin. Chimere DK.
All too well.
Let's see. Any other names on here? There's no Nebraska guys in this game, right? I'm
not that I'm aware of.
I'm certain we would have heard about
heard about it. Yeah.
Levante Bentley from Colorado, Nick Jackson from Iowa. Some good players there. These seem like generally draftable people. Do we think your boy's going to get his name called?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I was kind of thinking sort of one of those under the table undrafted free agent sort of deals.
Oh, Dragan Quiche from Minnesota will be doing some kicking in the Hula Bowl.
Minnesota.
All right. We will take a break. Still plenty to cover here on a Friday. Appreciate you being along with us. We have to take a look at the basketball for this weekend.
Hoops.
But coming up next, we will once again take a closer look at our dear friend Kirk Herbstreit.
Oh no.
What's going on with Kirk today? Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
Be right. Be Rooney. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
You know, sometimes I lose track of time, and I don't know what got into me. Maybe I really want to play this Kirk Herbstreit video because I think it's funny.
It's good.
Yeah. But I'm an idiot. So not joining us on the hotline is Kirk Herbstreit, but instead joining us on the hotline is Bryan Christopherson, as he does every single week at this exact time. Hi, BC.
That's an awesome setup. It sounds like you've got this great clip to play for everybody, but you're going to hold them hostage with Bryan Christopherson. So I'm sure people are just pumping their fist about that.
I felt bad. I teased the complete wrong thing. I hate when I do that. I almost wanted to break in during commercial and say, I'm sorry, I lied to you. So I just wanted to
give a tease. Can you give a tease of what the clip is? Is there like a hint what's coming?
I think Kirk Herbstreit wants to fight Desmond Howard. Yeah.
All right.
There you go. See, you're interested. It worked for you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think all Nebraska fans want to fight Desmond Howard too, so they'll be on board with that.
Yeah, maybe they're taking Kirk's side on this one. Before we get to some football things, I'd like to ask you about. Well, first of all, your day-long voyage to Iowa City this week. Anything interesting you saw? A lot of wind turbines, things like that. What's going on out there?
It wasn't an interesting trip, a disappointing trip for Husker hoops because you had it in your grip, and obviously Sanford was on a heater, and it took him basically clearing a ball rack like he's at a 3-point contest at the All-Star game for Nebraska to lose, but that's what happened. And this team, I will say this, they've bounced back well so far this year. They lost that game to St. Mary's. It was disappointing. They had a really tenacious week. They beat Creighton. They got beat by 37 by Michigan State. They came back, beat Indiana. This is going to be a tougher test though now as you get off the mat from what I kind of consider like a blown save game. It reminds me of like if you have a baseball team and your closer, loses a 2-run lead in the 9th inning and you have to walk the dog around the block a couple extra times. That was Tuesday's game in Iowa. So we'll see if they can have a short memory here going to Purdue.
Yeah, I was my main takeaway after it, and there was obviously all the stuff with the officiating, which was not good. It was rough. Obviously the double dribble, rough. But in a more general sense, from a basketball perspective, I sort of felt like they just lost composure. They kind of just lost their minds a little bit. And now, like you said, they always seem to respond, and they it's January, so you can learn from these things. But I thought that was my big takeaway from the game, of something to watch going forward.
No, you're right, and that's what he said as much, especially about the overtime segment when it felt like maybe they had wrestled momentum back or had a chance to after Bryce hits the 3. The bench explodes. You're like, all right, Iowa might feel like they let it go now, and right away they lost a loose ball and got lost in transition defense again. So. I did feel like it was sort of they lost their evenness that they have had for most of the year late in that game, and so they've definitely got to get it back. It's always tough when you blow a game like that because when you're in league play, you're always trying to stay ahead of that 500 mark. I feel, and that was a golden chance, obviously to be 3-1 and really playing from ahead. And now it's a tough test where you could be 2-3, but we'll see. Sunday they just have to look at it as an opportunity. Purdue's got a high net ranking. It would obviously be a huge resume win. You can't lose that much on your resume metrics wise from this game. So you just have to view it as let's go out there with a lot to gain and not as much to lose.
BC, as Nebraska continues to collect football players out of the transfer portal, the next step here is that we start to learn a little bit about them. I really love what you did with, just sort of bringing us up to speed on Dason McCullough. What did you learn about him as a guy who I think we all thought right away that he's going to be a pretty big piece of what they do on defense next year?
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, I want to do this with the guys now that we have a little time to step back and look at each player they've added. 24/7 Sports, there's an archive of like stories on every guy that goes back to when they're like 16 years old. And so you can kind of read about their journey if you have the patience for it going through. And what stood out the most about McCullough, and especially the way people in Oklahoma talked about him when he was there, is just his willingness to do whatever was asked and be that piece on the chessboard that you can move all over the place. It's like he's done that his whole career as a player. He's done that a little bit in how he's moved too, with his dad being a coach. Like he grew up and was a star and down in the Kansas City area in high school, and then he moved to Bloomington, and when his dad was a coach briefly at Indiana before Notre Dame, and was a standout there. So he just feels like a real flexible guy, and like his willingness to, I'm going here and I'm going to fit in different spots, and then I'll go over there and I'll fit in different spots too. So the big thing is, can he have a run of good health? And that was sort of the only thing that I think that got in his way last year at Oklahoma. He only played like 170 snaps after really 23 seemed like a precursor to really him busting out. So it's like everybody, availability matters the most. And if he can do that, I think John Butler is going to have a lot of fun moving them all over the place. And he can really play at all three levels, sort of, in a way.
Underrated one this week at linebacker, with Javen Wright getting his 7th year. I sort of said it at the time. It's kind of like Nebraska getting another guy out of the transfer portal. Same deal with him, or I guess a similar one where, he's been in and out of the lineup throughout his entire career for various reasons. How big of a boost is it to the room to have Javen Wright back next year?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, sometimes the biggest deals are that one or two guys who comes back, like when Ty Robinson walked into the room, last year. It was a post gamer before, maybe even Iowa, where he said, I plan to come back. And, we get so fired up about new names and fresh faces, and for good reason. But when you have a really consistent player who has done it at this level and has the versatility that Javen does, when Javen's been fully healthy, what stands out about him is not only his ability to, create some chaos, but he's very good in coverage. So you can do a lot of things, sort of like Deshaun McCullough with Javen. And I just want to see him. I tweeted this out the other day, like, let's see this guy with the full runway. I know he's been here forever, and this is year 7, but there's always just been something, unfortunately, that's gotten in the way. Some of them, tough medical conditions, not even football injury stuff, like the blood clots. And he's really shown perseverance. And I hope people understand, he was not really practicing leading into games this year.
No.
He was just in a yellow jersey. And that was at the Pinstripe Bowl, too. He wasn't practicing like normally, like everybody else. And he was still playing pretty good football. And so imagine if that guy can go, full tilt, what it could be. I always will have the memory when the media had access to a practice in the stadium a few years ago, when he had a run of good health, and there was a throw like 40 yards down the field, and he was playing DB, and he goes up with that size, and he like one-hands it. He's an incredible athlete, and I think he's got a lot of joy just in playing the game now. So he's going to be a big guy to have back in the locker room.
Okay, so forgive me, but this will be a bit of a complicated lead up to this. I'm gonna take out a few guys from the options I'm giving you here. So Nebraska, I'm going to assume that Elijah Pritchett starts for them next year for Nebraska. Yep. I'm going to assume that that's Dane Key starts for Nebraska next year. And first of all, I guess, is there anybody else that you'd throw in that category? I mean, there's a few more. Marcus Watson Trent probably in that category. But I'm trying to get to the outside of that first tier of like super important guys who you feel like would be the biggest addition so far.
Okay, outside of those guys, I mean, Isaiah Hunter, maybe you could argue belongs in that tier too, but I would say him.
Yeah, maybe Marshall. Maybe Marshall goes there too. Andrew Marshall.
Yeah, especially if he really can be that piece at return man. I mean, it's going to be fascinating in the secondary because you've added like 4 guys, including Groves Killebrew, who he's really an interesting prospect because he maybe hasn't had the college career he's hoped, but he's like always thought of as like this ultra like talented guy. Like if it clicks, it can be really special. And so it's going to be elbows out to see who survives, I think, there. But I'd say Isaiah Hunter, McCullough would be names. You know, Williams and Ware is going to be really going to be interesting if you know, just the fact that he's just going into his second year with all the talent he has. Like I know this is how it goes when a guy leaves your program. You're like, he wasn't any good anyway. And that was sort of this Missouri reaction. It's like, okay, this is like a top 10 overall recruit who's played 1 year at a position that's very tough to break through in college football. There's a lot of good stuff, I think, ahead of him. So he'd be one I'd mention. And then I think Davila, the quarterback, is not like he's going to break through and be a starter, but I just feel like he was like the perfect ad for the puzzle piece of that position room right now. Like a guy who Holgorsen knew coming up, recruited him, fits like his eye. I think that he gets along really well with Glenn Thomas on his visit. And so I'd get asked on radio appearances, like, who do you add at QB with Raiola here, you know? And when he popped up and ended up being here, it's like, that's the perfect addition.
Best it could have been.
Yeah. So that's kind of straying from your question, but I think people should not forget about how important it was to add that depth to the QB room and what that means.
No, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's another underrated thing that's happened. I just like, you've just gotten clarity at that position. And I think the person that benefits from the most from it is Heinrich Harburg. And it allows him to be a tight end full time. Nebraska has this sort of interesting setup at tight end with a whole bunch of different bodies as well. Like, we don't have to, you know, they might still mix him in various packages where he's got the ball in his hands behind the line of scrimmage or whatever it might be next year. But you know, I think it's really good for everybody to get some clarity at that spot, and then with Harburg in particular.
I'm so happy for Heinrich because I think this is the best thing for him. Like, I've always thought he could really be a tight end with his athleticism that could even sniff the next level or more. And now he gets to fully attack that. And I understand why that's a difficult move to make, because when he was a high school player, he was like going to see a QB coach in Colorado, and think about all the hours and money and stuff you spend on trying to be really good at your craft. And QB is sort of that spot you've had in your mind, like, I'm going to do it. It's really impressive of him to take a step back and see the big picture. And I think this staff sees it with him. So you're right. Like, how that all worked together, what he can thrive in his role. You got a relatively young QB in Davila, who's, you know, I just think going to be a solid backup this year and can grow in the system. It on paper looks really well, and of course we can only go off paper right now, and we always like what it looks like on paper usually, but hopefully it'll play that way in the field.
Only 8 more months of paper.
Yeah. The paper's always great. Like, the paper is like, man, this is a 10-win team now. They're starting to and then you get to September and you're not so sure of that.
I would just one more for you, BC. Like, I don't know, you know, we'll see what happens in the next several days, I guess, as this window seems to be sort of drawing near its end. And then you'll have spring ball, and there will be another sort of mini surge. Do you think that's when Nebraska sort of focuses in on just a couple guys to fill out the rest of the 2025 roster?
Yeah, like 1 or 2 guys. I mean, at this point, you're sort of capping out. They're at 16 commits now. I think there's, you know, in the win, there's a few more, a wide receiver addition, possibly still, possibly another tackle. We'll see with Pete, the kid from New Mexico State. So, you know, maybe that's how it ends now. Well, the interesting part is going to be how it dwindles down, actually, to me. Like, especially when you look at the secondary, there's like 30 names, you know, at that spot. So obviously some decisions are going to have to be made, and guys are going to have to see where they fit after spring ball. And they've got a new coach in Addison Williams who might have a slightly different eye than John Butler for certain things. And so That position group is definitely going to be one to watch portal wise from the other end of it after spring ball.
BC, before we let you go, how much did last Sunday night shake your confidence with your favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings?
I wasn't surprised by how that game went at all. I feel like Detroit's been the class of the NFC probably, but that doesn't mean they're not going to screw up. And so I'm going to try to put that like 1998 Vikings hex on them, where you feel like you just got it rolling on offense, and then suddenly something stupid happens and your kicker misses in a bad spot, or Dan Campbell goes for a 4th and 2 foot play and they don't get it. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. Vikings playing the Rams in Phoenix,
Right.
and obviously with all the important news that surrounds that game, you know how sports sort of lines up, it feels like to me, with storylines, and it's such a minor thing, sports in comparison. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but it feels like when there's a big event and there's something that it's touching at people's hearts, that team sometimes comes through for the city or whatever. So I kind of have a feeling the Rams are going to win on Monday night, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, good luck. Enjoy your weekend leading up to that. And I know you'll be probably mostly miserable on Monday night. So have fun with that as well.
Yes, I will be. Thank you for that.
See ya.
Later.
Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247.
Miserable.
Yeah. Every Vikings fan I know. Every Viking, I mean, it's Schaefer, BC. I mean, they're both exactly like that. Schaefer was
misinterpret this.
He was tooting the horn a little bit this year, but then immediately crashing back down to earth on Monday.
That Lions game brought a whole lot of feelings back.
Yeah. I was watching a montage last night of Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, being angry.
Okay.
So I wonder. Yeah, I go down in YouTube holes sometimes. Josh, this morning, what were we watching in your office?
Clips from the original Vacation.
50 yards. 50 yards.
You hate it now. Wait till you drive
Ready to drive it. All right. Josh has the odd news when we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
You know, I say yesterday that I want to have a party for the YouTube people.
Yeah.
And now where are they?
Where my YouTube chatters at?
Put an orange in the chat. I've recently refound my love for oranges. I saw the big bowl of oranges last night at the Orange Bowl, and I saw Marcus Freeman try to pick it up, and what's her name? Molly was like, "Don't try to pick that up, coach." And then I was disgusted. I'm always disgusted at the Orange Bowl every year when the people try to eat the oranges the way that they eat the oranges.
With the peel.
What, they just bite into the orange like it's an apple.
Yeah.
Heathens.
How? That's not the way to eat an orange.
They should either give them pre-peeled oranges, or the players should take the time to dig their little fingernails in there and peel them themselves.
Like an adult.
I had an orange after I tweeted that I was going to eat an orange last night after the Orange Bowl, and I had an orange this morning. I apologize to Jimmy Chavez, who I probably made his area at his desk smell like orange.
Oh, as long as it wasn't sticky from the drippings.
Yeah, that was on the floor.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
That's carpet.
I don't care about the floor.
All right.
We clean it every now and then.
What do we got today, Josh?
Well, we got Mike in the YouTube chat.
Mike!
Just got here. Have we acknowledged Josh's transfer portal prediction skills?
Go ahead, Josh. Victory lap time.
I believe it was on the show yesterday.
Yeah, what a turnaround
What
there.
a quick portal turnaround. Carson Beck entered the transfer portal with a do not contact tag. Hayes Fawcett graphic just dropped during the last break. I told you all he was going to Miami to be with his Cavender girlfriend. Have I figured out which one in the last 24 hours? No, because I don't think it really matters.
Unimportant.
Yeah.
Josh did predict this. It was a short-term prediction. Longer-term predictions feel good, but they still count the same.
That's right. Carson Beck, Miami.
You know ball, as we've said before.
I do. One of the favorite characters on this station, I won't say the show specifically, it's more of a Gary thing.
The Hawk Tua girl?
Well, no. She's long gone. G-Fed.
Oh, yeah. Gary does love that guy.
He loves G-Fed.
He loves that. Well, oh, no. Did he get arrested?
Popular TikToker. He did not get arrested, but he received a notice from the police. Like, I don't know, like a warning or something from Clemson University. They have issued him a formal trespassing notice.
So this is the guy who...
Tell me what G-Fed's bit is.
On TikTok, he goes... I mean, I don't know how he's in all the places that he's in. Does he just drive his car? I don't know what... He goes all around the country, and he talks like a Gen Z TikToker. And he goes, I don't even want to make an impression because then I would want to start talking like that, and I don't want to do that. But he walks into college football stadiums and sees basically how far he could get and what he can see before he gets kicked out, before somebody stops him.
Okay, so the goal is actually to get kicked out.
Not really. He's proven the goal. The goal is to prove. Well, the goal is to just do it, right? But he has proven that security around college football stadiums around the country is minimal.
There's always a gate open.
100%. 100%. I think he did it with Nebraska. And I mean, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it.
G-Fed now banned from the Clemson campus. But G-Fed understands that the police are just doing their job. They simply did what they were instructed to do. We had a productive conversation off camera. Based on the information they gathered, they gave me a trespassing notice, which I thought was fair.
And
okay.
So I hope it doesn't get to the point where, he shows up at state and they just give him tickets every time he goes to the stadium now. And you can only do this he's done every stadium, I think. What's next?
Yes, he said, I really just feel more unlucky than anything because this was the very last FBS campus in the lower 48 we haven't been to. And of course, this happened.
Unreal. Trusty Tyler writes in on YouTube. Doesn't he also wait around after the games now to see how long it takes him for him to get kicked out? Yes, he also does that bit congruently with the other bit. He shows his watch and he's like, I've been here for 45 minutes and there's really no sign of me ever getting kicked out. So I think I'll just leave now.
That's Jacob Padilla's bit too.
Yeah, but Jacob's working.
But he's working.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't doing the thing.
Good job by G-Fed. Gary Sharp's favorite guy.
Yes. We go to Florida for our final two odd news stories. Before heading off to drug rehab on New Year's Eve, Octavia Wells allegedly decided to score some narcotics for the road. So the 41-year-old Floridian texted her dealer that I've got $45 to spend, and she wanted to buy a couple of points of fentanyl.
Is that what they call? Okay,
I guess.
All right.
In her text, Wells identified herself as Octavia and arranged the drug transaction. She drove to meet the dealer at a convenience store in Panama City, where she was confronted by police and arrested. It is at that moment that Wells realized she had mistakenly texted a police officer and not her drug dealer. Classic story. Always funny.
How many times in your life have you texted the wrong person?
It's been a while.
Yep. It does not happen very often.
Maybe I could count it on one hand.
It's like, oops,
Certainly
accidentally
less than
sent
10.
that to the wrong person.
Yeah.
I thought I was texting a different person. Whatever. You just get outside your mind for a second. Yeah. You forget.
You're going too fast.
So, I mean, it just must be the worst stroke of luck that any of us have ever seen that Octavia had.
Yeah. She had a bad run. 1 felony, 2 misdemeanors now. Well, I mean,
maybe this is a cry for help.
She's going to a different type of drug rehab now.
Yeah.
Prison. We end in Mulberry, Florida. Not really familiar with Mulberry, Florida. It's in Polk County. But a man and woman who Polk County deputies are calling Mr. Clean and Ms. Dookie are on the run after a messy burglary at a Family Dollar store.
Oh, no.
According to the sheriff's office.
Does this involve poop?
Yes, but I'm going to try and not be obscene about it, okay?
Thank you.
A man and a woman walked into the Family Dollar store last month and each played a different role in a $500 heist. Deputies say the man walked around gathering nearly $500 worth of cleaning products, Gain, Tide, Clorox, etc., etc. While he was gathering the cleaning supplies to steal, deputies say a woman distracted employees by earning the nickname Ms. Dookie and all that implies.
What a racket. What? I mean, so they steal the cleaning supplies to make drugs? Can we assume?
Okay,
I mean, that's what Jesse and Mr. White used to do.
Okay, that makes more sense.
They used to go to the store and they're like, don't buy it all at one place. You know?
Okay, can I share what I thought happened until you said that?
Sure.
I thought maybe they have a business where they clean like offices and they just couldn't afford the equipment. Yours makes more sense.
So naive. So young.
I'm a beautiful idiot.
I might be wrong. But I'm just putting the pieces together, connecting some dots.
Mike says the cleaning products are easy to sell. Oh,
to the drug people?
2 people who want to make drugs? Okay. Sure.
Oh, so they steal the products and they're the cleaning supply dealers.
Yeah.
To make the drugs.
Hey, you don't want to go to Target and buy the Clorox. They'll flag you.
So if that's the case, I was on the right path there.
Mm-hmm. They're the middleman.
And so they both were caught.
Yes, they were.
It's a high risk, high reward. Oh, Mike says nope. They're just easy to sell. No drugs.
Oh,
wait. So we're talking about buying Clorox off a dude on the street?
Just buying some magic erasers. Hey, you got any of the magic erasers? Which, by the way, I cannot be around. I cannot be around magic erasers.
What do you mean?
That texture on my hand.
Ooh, good take.
It is one of the worst feelings in the world.
Nope, the worst feeling is styrofoam.
Okay, sure.
The other day, I was gifted a lovely bobblehead from the National Bobblehead Museum that is Billy the Blue Jay.
What a week for gifts.
I know. Bobblehead, bottle of whiskey. Amazing. And I still got to go pick up my gift card, by the way, since I won that putt-putt tournament.
Wow.
I gotta get on that today. And we're pulling and I had to make somebody else do it. I had to make Alyssa, our coworker, do it. You know, she gets us our food too.
That's right.
I go, Alyssa, you have to pull the styrofoam box out of the bobblehead box because I can't. I can't do it. And I don't really want to be around, but I'll stick through it and watch it. But I can't do it. I hate styrofoam. They give me you go to the gas station and the options are to pull the styrofoam cup out of the thing.
Sure.
No. If you don't have plastic cups, I don't want it.
Great take.
It's probably worse for the environment.
Definitely is.
But I can't do it. Okay.
That's the odd news.
That's the odd news. Josh, thanks.
Thank you, Connor.
All right, now we'll play that Kirk Herbstreit clip.
Probably.
No guarantees. We might get caught up on something else. Sipple joins us at the bottom of the hour. We still have basketball to talk about for this weekend.
Hoops.
The state of Nebraska visits the state of Indiana.
Oh, are they traveling together?
I don't think so.
Seems unlikely.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Brought this up in the game when they played
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Texas and Ohio State tonight in Big Meteor semifinal round 2 of the college football playoff.
The winter wonderland that is the Cotton Bowl.
Nobody thinks Texas is going to win. And we've basically been on this for like a week now. Nobody thinks Texas is going to win. Everyone thinks Ohio State will play for the national championship and likely win the national championship.
Whoa.
So let me play a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Okay.
For the record, I think what I just said. I think that Ohio State will win tonight, and I think Ohio State will win the national championship.
Good take.
Thank you.
I've seen Texas's red zone offense.
Thank you. But is it possible that the Ohio State love got a little bit too heavy? People are acting like they are not capable of crapping their pants. We've seen them crap their pants. It wasn't that long ago. We watched it all play out. It was like it was on the floor of the Dollar General while somebody was trying to steal a bunch of cleaning products. Josh, it happened
like 6 weeks ago.
It happened. And yes, we all say that Ohio State has flipped the switch and they're different now and all this, but I think that exists in their DNA. They have that.
Definitely.
And everyone has been talking about how good they are. And everyone has been talking about how they're going to win. What was the topic going into the Michigan game? They're really good. They're going to win. They're not going to lose to Michigan. Could you imagine how bad it would be if they lost to Michigan?
It'd be so embarrassing.
It would be so embarrassing. Ryan Day might get fired, or they would at least want him to be fired. So let's apply that to tonight. Ohio State's going to win. They're better than Texas. Could you imagine if they lost to Texas? Could you imagine if they didn't make the national championship game after all of this? And then you double that along with the Michigan loss, and they probably actually would really fire Ryan Day at that point. Because it would be viewed as a gross underperformance at this time. I mean, remember, Ohio State, they've been through a bit of a roller coaster. I think they were the national champion favorite preseason.
That's right.
I thought they were the best team in the country preseason. I had my doubts about Will Howard. They basically steamrolled everybody with the exception of beating Oregon or losing to Oregon in the first game.
Didn't steamroll Nebraska.
Didn't steamroll Michigan. Didn't steamroll Nebraska. That's true. And then get banished to a home game in the college football playoff after losing 2 games in the regular season. And then, only then, do they start looking like a different team than they really have been all season long. Smashed Tennessee at home and then smashed Oregon to smithereens. And you get the revenge factor in there as well. So the position that they're in right now is back to being heavy national championship favorites. There's something about this program. Maybe it's their coach. Maybe it's just in their DNA. But when they are really supposed to do something and they are expected to do something, that's when it gets a little tricky for them. There's my case. I'm not saying I even believe half the crap I just said. But if you were building a case, you would build it on those grounds. What do you think?
Ohio State gets tight from time to time.
They do. It is
absolutely true.
It is a tight program.
But my God, did you see the Rose Bowl?
Oh, I watched it. And everybody thinks so. Everybody thought Oregon was the second best team, or the first best team in the country. And then after they lost, they're like, oh, they're probably the second best team in the country. And that still might be the case. I mean, we might have a national championship game where it's the first best team in the country and the 5th best team in the country. We might have a national championship game where it's the 5th best team in the country and the 4th best team in the country.
I mean,
that's the beauty of the bracket.
It could be the 7 seed versus the 8 seed in the national championship game.
Yeah. And everybody will say, well, the 8 seed's the best team in the country, which they are. The 8 seed is the best team in the country.
I'm so confused.
They are. And Texas is what? The 6? What does anybody even know the seeds?
No one knows.
Okay, so Texas played Clemson. I think it was 6-11, right? That was 6-11. Or no. 6-11 wouldn't even be a matchup. Tell me the seed.
Texas is the 5.
Texas was the 5. They played the 12, which was Clemson.
And the 4, which was Arizona State.
Got it.
Now they play the 8, which is Ohio State.
Nailed it. Kenneth. Hey, by the way, congrats, Kenneth. How about them Irish, he says. Yeah, wow. What a win. Kenneth, you were right. You nailed it.
Kenneth and me on an island.
How about Jeremiah? I mean, he was talking about Jeremiah Love not actually being, that beat up. I mean, he seemed a little beat up. He was dealing with the knee brace thing. And then I like the report throughout the game where they were like, the one thing that he can't do, or that he told himself that he wasn't going to do, jump. And then he jumped.
He jumped.
And everything was fine.
But he was super careful to land on the other leg.
Kenneth also says, I am very, very hungover.
Oh, hello.
Attaboy.
Doing it right, Kenneth.
Feeling good about it, though. So I think it's Ohio State tonight. Is there any objection, or are you going to take some of what I just said and apply it to the game? Does it at all scare you that Ohio State has the poopy pants DNA in there somewhere?
It does, but I think they will pressure Texas in a similar fashion to how Detroit pressured the Minnesota Vikings last week. Feels like 6 weeks ago.
It was Sunday. It was 5 days ago.
Yeah. Oh, God. What a week. And they'll just make Texas make mistakes in the red zone because Texas is not very good in the red zone.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to have a good quarterback in order to do that.
Interesting. Quinn.
They have really good wide receivers. Texas does.
So does the Vikings.
So do the Vikings. Yeah, I think there will be a lot of pressure to what Ohio State brings to the table. Ultimately, I just think Ohio State's the best defense in the country, even better than Kenneth's Notre Dame,
which is very good.
Aaron writes in, he follows up a little bit. He says, Texas has a great defensive line, and Ohio State struggles sometimes against that. See the Nebraska game. Feels like they've straightened that out. It feels like they've straightened that out a little bit. At the same time, they haven't necessarily gotten a huge test from either of their first two opponents on that front so far. So there's that piece of it. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
Quinn Ewers is good.
Quinn Ewers is good. Well, wait, no, because I have an inflection point on Quinn.
Quinn Ewers is good. Text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
It was impossible to know what seed teams were because lots of times they should have their poll rank. They would have their poll ranking next to them instead of their seed. That's a great point. Are we going by the seed or are we going by the ranking?
Who the hell knows?
And those are like, they're different, but they're not different enough.
Right. It's like, well, the 4/6.
The 4 is
like,
the 6, the 5 is the 4. I have no idea. Right. But yeah, I think Ohio State's winning tonight. So on the conversation regarding Ohio State, apparently there is this narrative that I don't know about.
Oh? Maybe I can help you.
Apparently people are talking. Yeah, Josh, you are the narrative finder. Josh Hudson, the narrative finder.
There's a bit there.
So apparently people, maybe this is just a Michigan thing. People are saying that Ohio State buys their team as if that's some sort of derogatory thing in college football.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, but you bought your team. Anybody could buy their team if they had the money to buy them.
Ohio State has touted this is the most expensive roster ever assembled. And other schools are doing like the baseball thing where it's like, oh yeah, the Dodgers won the World Series, but it barely even counts because you bought a World Series.
Okay. So apparently this is a conversation. I don't care. It's legal.
Yeah, it's a stupid
They
one.
have the most money.
Right.
And so this has angered our dear, dear friend who we've talked a lot about recently, Mr. Kirk Herbstreit, owner of dogs. One less dog, owner of dogs. Desmond Howard, Michigan guy, proffered this idea. Here's how that conversation went last night on College Game Day prior to the Orange Bowl.
Brought this up in the game when they played Texas. There's this perception that they went out and spent $20 million on players. 9 of their 11 starting defensive players are 3-year starters. They've been there for 3 years. They've lost some tough games. That's what I think is interesting about this team. They brought in Caleb Downs, who's a great player. That's it. That's the only guy on defense. They brought in a backup running back who hasn't played a ton. He's a good back. And they brought in Will Howard, and they brought in a center from Alabama who's hurt, doesn't play. Exactly. So the perception is they went out and bought $20 million. Reality is they paid $20 million to keep their guys from leaving and going elsewhere. So I just think that
they went out and bought
what I'm
Jeremiah
saying,
Smith.
I know, but
he didn't come cheap.
But bro, here's the thing: the perception is wrong with Ohio State. The perception is they went out and found players. The reality is this is a veteran defense that and. You know what it's like when you have a 3- and 4-year guys that have been there forever, won a lot of great games, lost a lot to Michigan, lost to Oregon, lost to Georgia. It's a hardened team that's been through a lot of shit. And I think that's what makes them really have a little bit of like, this is our last stance after that.
I think
So he's fired up.
Pat McAfee was shocked.
He goes, "What? Jeez, this
I'm
isn't
normally the one that does that. What's happening?
This isn't my show in the middle of the day. This is College Game Day. It's prime time, and we're about to play the second or third biggest game of the year on television, and you're cussing purposefully." And he didn't. That wasn't an accident. He was ramping up to saying the S word. And he did. He went for it. And so that was a bit contentious last night on the set of College Game Day.
You can hear it sort of at the beginning. Desmond is like, I'm going to needle this guy. I'm going to needle him.
When Kirk dropped the bro, he called him bro at one point. He's like, but bro, wait, just bro. So there's a lot of different angles we could go with this. So I feel like we've said our piece on Herbstreit. I'm not sure what's wrong with him. I don't know what's going on right now. I think he's very much gone down the road of I can't do anything right, so why do I care about what I say anymore?
Okay.
But also he still secretly cares about what people think about him.
Desperately.
And also, he seems like a guy who talks about the far left.
100%.
Yeah.
If you've read his son's tweets.
Yeah, definitely. His son's tweets are good.
Very real.
So, and then we can talk about the actual contents of it, which is from a football perspective. And does anybody actually care about this?
Okay, they paid to keep their team. Yeah, that's part of it too, man. Like, you still bought it.
Okay. Oh, so you're agreeing with Desmond.
There's a kernel of truth in there.
Well, of course it's true.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Of course it's true.
It's the new normal. It's the part of the game. It's why coaches of a certain age, quote unquote, are retiring left and right.
But like Kirk was right for what he said. He was like, the perception is, well, they're Ohio State and they could just go out into the transfer portal and buy all of their players.
Sure.
That's not necessarily the case.
No.
Before that, he was talking about what they actually did in the portal this year, which is they got a few starters. Obviously, Caleb Downs is incredible. And they got Quinshon Judkins, who everybody thought was going to be good, and he hasn't done crap this year.
Yeah.
And an offensive lineman. Like those are their starters.
And a mid quarterback.
And a mid quarterback that costs a lot of money. He was like the Anthony Santander of this class or something, like whatever it is. Nobody gets that reference. So I don't know. Pete, I don't know. Who's the most expensive guy in the free agent class this year? Well, it was Juan Soto, probably.
Really? You paid that for that?
Yeah, but that's not a good comp. Anyway, I think he's right. It's like the perception. If the perception is that they went and bought their team. That's not the truth. They had really good players, and they had to pay them money to keep them. But people are using that as saying, oh, well, you have a $20 million roster, and anybody could do that if they had $20 million. But they don't. You're the most blessed team.
Yes.
And people do that with Ryan Day. So there's a corollary here. Like, people do that with Ryan Day.
He's not a good coach. He just has the best roster.
What do they always say about Ryan Day? He was born on third base.
He was born on third base with a bottle of Just for Men in his back pocket.
Exactly.
That's what they say about him.
Do you spray that on? Is that a spray?
I believe it comes with a little comb.
Is that a comb in?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. My beard is beautifully red.
That's right. Look at that streak of gray.
Very natural. Yeah, you like that.
Since having a child.
No, that's been there.
Okay.
And maybe just more.
But
there's that connection too, where people so Ohio State is, and I think Kirk speaks for Ohio State in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
I think Ohio State's pissed off that this is what people say about them.
They're one of those perpetually aggrieved fan bases, and with that thing you said about Kirk Herbstreit and the people he might be talking about, they also, that same class of people, also feel perpetually aggrieved.
So I think when we're looking for what happened to Ohio State, the chip on their shoulder, what happened after the Michigan game, I think this is part of it. I think they got really fed up with people saying all this crap about them. Like, you're born on third base. Like, anybody could do this if they had the money. Like, of course I would win a national championship with that roster. With that roster, it's like, okay, now we work hard. We do this and that and whatever. It's sort of an interesting little side story to that, because that is like I said, Kirk kind of speaks for Ohio State on behalf of Ohio State, even though he tries to make it seem like he's not an Ohio State guy. You know what he is.
There's a little of that Georgia nobody believed in us thing going on with them right now, where, well, no, you're the number one team in the country. Of course, Kirby, we all believed that you would win the title. And that's kind of shifted over to Ohio State this year.
Aaron writes in.
Hi, Aaron.
He says, Kirk went good guy for so long, and right now it feels like he's having something between a dog lover and a hater, and it's hilarious to watch in real time. Somebody asked him about 95 Nebraska and 71 Nebraska as the GOATs. He would get re-triggered about it.
He would. Really weird heel turn from Kirk Herbstreit this season.
It is.
I don't know that it's worked.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He's doing all these things. Is this just set up to leave college and go to the NFL for him? Like, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Let Pat and Nick be kind of the face of college football.
Yeah,
he was going to leave College Game Day. I don't know if you've heard that.
Oh, I have heard it
from Andy and Ari.
I have heard it. People love talking about it. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
Everyone buys their team. Even Dabo started doing it. Yeah, I just don't get the right.
Yeah. Like,
if you're mad at Ohio State because they bought their team, it's just like everybody bought their team.
Do you think Michigan got that 5-star quarterback, Desmond, because he really loved the Ann Arbor campus?
Yeah.
Like,
wasn't that a Barstool guy present?
Yeah, I think it was
the Barstool guy
from Big Dave.
Yeah, the Barstool guy was like, I'll pay X amount of dollars, and I want this guy from Detroit to end up at Michigan. They were like, cool, thanks.
No, he loves the Jordan brand. I wanted to play for a Jordan brand school.
All right, we'll take a quick time out here. We can touch on that game even furthermore if you'd like to. We still have to preview the basketball for this weekend, and we haven't talked about Brian Kelly, the Brian Kelly of it all as well, which is fun,
hilarious.
But coming up next, let's have a chat with our dear friend, Steve Sipple, who I made sure to visit at the basketball game last Saturday. And we had a great father-son moment.
Oh, good. Is Sipple one of those guys?
He told me he liked my coat.
Where if you're not Oh, we were in the same place and you didn't come say hi?
Yeah,
Why
he kind
didn't
of
you come
is.
say hi?
He says that, but he doesn't really mean it.
Okay.
He says that though. It's a good thing to say. It's like, oh man, you should just come up and said something to me. He wouldn't have cared.
Okay.
All right, we're back after this with Sipple on 1620 The Zone. All right. Well, we were due. We were due.
Oh no!
What? We were due.
Are you giving up?
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, history suggests that if they don't answer the first time, you don't have a great chance at getting them back. You know, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Sipple, is the kind of guy that'll kind of just leave his phone and walk away for a little bit.
Yes.
So whenever he gets back from walking the dog or looking at the chickens, or maybe he had to remove his chickens, I think, or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, whatever it was. Whenever he gets back in his house where he left his phone several hours ago, he might give us a call back. Josh, should we talk more about the all of a sudden the loving of the Denver Broncos around here now? What's going on?
Well, a bunch of people told the Broncos fan that, hey, it's okay. I think the Broncos got a shot.
Do the Broncos have a shot? Who thinks that?
No.
I don't mean to be so dismissive. I don't mean to be so dismissive, but I do not think that they have much of a chance to win that game.
Yeah,
against the Buffalo Bills.
What's the path?
Get a bunch of turnovers. Get a bunch of turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, probably. Right? I know Buffalo's defense isn't great, but I guess it would be get a bunch of turnovers. That would be a good path for them. And Josh Allen has been turnover-y in his career. So possibly, I mean, that I guess would be a route, but I don't know. Josh, like he's my best friend, Josh Allen, has been a lot better at taking care of the football, certainly this year. So, nope, I don't see it. We'll make our picks for the NFL games coming up in about an hour or so. We'll look ahead to the 5 wild card games this weekend, and then we'll save the Monday night game for, of course, Monday during the show.
We'll save it for later.
Brian Kelly.
Hi, Brian Kelly.
Here's a quote that he said when he left Notre Dame for LSU in April of 2022. Quote, I want to be in an environment where I have the resources to win a national championship. End quote.
Oof.
Ouch.
I mean, we don't even need to tell jokes around it. That
quote
is hilarious.
My guy, one of the least likable people in college football, did it again. Yep. Hammering the table. He did it again. He continues to be unlikable. He left, and he never handles it well. He never does a good job with that.
It's always messy, always sloppy.
And he said, I want to be here's why I'm leaving. I'd like to be in an environment where I feel like I can win a national championship. And lo and behold, less than 3 years later, his successor has that team in a national championship game.
And they talked about it on the broadcast last night. He's also turned them into a likable team, other than the logo and the helmet, like the brand of Notre Dame, which is always going to be unlikable to a certain extent, but people like Marcus Freeman, right?
So let's have this discussion for a second. I've never felt the huge disdain toward Notre Dame as
okay.
I guess I don't know what it is with them. Is it just their individuality?
When I was
right, is it the fact that they are Notre Dame and they're independent and they have these special things, special rules. They play by their own rules that sort of apply to them and nobody else. Like, is it just that? Because that really never bothered me. In fact, it for most of my life now, they haven't actually been that good, even though they've been to multiple national championship games now. I just, because of them not being in a conference, because of their individuality, I sort of kept them on the sideburn.
Separate.
I don't think about Notre Dame often when I think of major, when I think of the top of the Big Ten or the top of the SEC or whatever. I don't really think about them.
Also, while we're right there,
this is a generational thing.
Notre Dame has reached its $20 million CFP earning cap. So they're maxed out on the money that they can make from payouts from the bowl games.
Wow.
And they don't have to share it with anyone. So they've never actually had less incentive to join a conference. If you're like, if you're a James Franklin pilled and you're like, yeah, Notre Dame should join a conference, they've never had less reason to.
I don't know about that, Josh.
Unless they want to buy.
I mean, like TV. Yeah, but it's not about the player. Like as much as we want to make it about competitive advantages and disadvantages, like that's not why you do anything. Why is SMU in the ACC? Why is Stanford and Cal in the ACC? It's better than where they were. They have, if Notre Dame, now I don't know the exact numbers, this is a summer topic, but the stuff that, how the numbers actually even out for them from their exclusive NBC TV deal to what they would get as a member of the Big Ten, how much value they would add as a member of the Big Ten. Certainly would make no sense for them to go to the ACC.
Right. Terrible TV deal.
Right. But to the Big Ten has the ability, if they add a team or they add more teams, to go in and renegotiate their deal. And there's all that stuff with that. So like they would add value to the conference and it would have to be renegotiated. And it would probably be beneficial to the rest of the Big Ten teams for them to join it. It would be more consistent and steady and all that stuff. Notre Dame's not going to make the playoff every year and play 4 games.
Right. But
they get 4 games this year. That's 4 units.
Ooh.
Or whatever. They've hit their max units.
But to your last point, when I was growing up, Notre Dame was always that team that got the call at the end that allowed them to win the game. Their fan base was always the sweater wearing, wine drinking, smug jerks that we talk about when we talk about like a Michigan or a Creighton stereotypical fan. Like,
interesting.
That was when I was a spry young lad. That's the way it was.
Maybe I just haven't had as many interactions with Notre Dame fans as you all. I know it used to be more of a thing than it is now. Like there's just Notre Dame fans there, but maybe I just never had that.
Also, Rudy sucks. He was offsides.
Rudy doesn't suck.
Rudy sucks.
Rudy's a classic.
So is Citizen Kane, and it sucks.
Wow. You think Rudy sucked as a movie? I mean, you have to suspend reality like you do in every movie. I mean, it's corny.
I would not watch it.
I like corny movies.
Oh, corny movies are
Put
fine.
me in on corny movies.
Don't get me wrong.
A lot of people, let me just sum up some of the comments that we're getting on the text line right now. They have disliked Notre Dame because of their affiliation with the church. Not because they particularly hate that religion, just because they use it. Right? Getting that a little bit.
What religion is perfect? No, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, not particularly about that religion.
They started coming out of my mouth, and I'm like, nope, I don't like this. Doesn't feel right.
I've got another texter on your side, Josh. Here, Rudy is bad.
Thank you, texter.
Rudy is incredibly bad. Actually, were the words.
Wow.
Rudy is incredibly bad. I haven't got caught up in this whole Notre Dame conversation. We talked about it a couple weeks ago and how they're likable now. But like I never felt the dislike. So I don't feel a shift and a change with Notre Dame as maybe some of you do. Obviously, Marcus Freeman is incredibly likable. He's way more likable than the person who came before him. That makes a difference too, Josh.
Definitely.
But
comparison shopping.
It's like when Notre Dame was bad. Like when they were bottoming out, when it was like Tyrone Willingham
and Charlie Weiss,
who
we all know.
When they were bad, were you laughing at them hysterically? Because I just never I always just kept them. They just stay separate to me. I know Nebraska played a couple games with them, and there was that close connection for a little while, but I never really felt like I had to worry about Notre Dame and think about what they were doing. And I know they're like Midwest, but the state of Indiana doesn't really feel Midwest to me.
Nah.
You know?
Rust Belt at best.
Right. So I just they were always off to the side.
I feel about when Notre Dame was going through those struggles, I feel about as I do now with Florida State, where I'm like, wow, never saw that coming. That's funny.
Yeah. Many people now commenting on Rudy.
Please.
Obviously, he was definitely offside. Like, we checked the tape on that one a long time ago. He was offsides. But I didn't realize that everyone hated the movie Rudy. There's a lot of earth-shattering truths that I'm learning today. So Rudy is one of these movies that everybody talks about, but apparently everyone hates it?
That's right.
We've been hate watching Rudy our entire lives?
Well, we had so many options in the 90s, Connor.
It doesn't mean it was bad.
It was a football movie, and they got to actually use Notre Dame. It wasn't Dame State,
which is
or
cool.
something. Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yippee.
It's incredibly corny.
Yippee likes Rudy. He's here to cape up
Yippee.
for Rudy.
Thank you. You need a good cry every once in a while.
Why would you not watch a better film about a better team with a better actor? Remember the Titans.
That's interesting because Josh, I don't think that highly of Remember the Titans as most people do.
It's incredibly corny.
Yep.
But come on. Ain't no mountain high enough?
You're the best. Okay, that's good. The best football movie is Friday Night Lights.
Great movie.
The movie. And people are like, well, did you watch a TV show? I'm like, no. I watched a movie.
Book.
The movie, Friday Night Lights, is the best football movie that we had.
It's that first time you saw Tim McGraw and went, whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Is he going to hit that guy?
Is Tim McGraw skinny now?
Why is he duct taping that football to that guy's hands? What's going on?
He's a bad dad. Where did Tim McGraw learn about bad dads?
John emails in.
Hi, John.
Can we have Josh say Rudy is good and compare it to Josh saying Nebraska is good? Nebrasketball is good.
Rudy is good. Nebrasketball is good.
You said it too fast for me to. You said it too fast.
See, that's why you believe Nebrasketball is good.
Say it with Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy's good. Which one do you believe less?
Well, I believe you when you said, Rudy was good because you clearly were lying. You didn't think that Rudy was good. You're just like, Rudy's good, whatever.
Rudy is good.
I definitely don't believe that. All right. We'll come back. We never did hear back from our dear friend, Steve Sipple.
Are we worried?
No, he's fine. But we have a lot of opinions on Rudy. So at least we have that. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Oh, a Pete tweet. Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord, the nation's leading passer in 2024. Wow, people forget that.
What could have been?
He told ESPN, Pete Thamel, today that he will declare for the NFL draft and has decided to no longer pursue an eligibility waiver for another season. He also broke the ACC single-season passing record this year. The decision ends what he called a crazy ride through college football that saw him go 22-4 as a starting quarterback at both Syracuse and Ohio State. He said he's forever indebted to Syracuse for his time there and thanked his teammates, the fans, and staff. Quote, with the way everything played itself out and what I'm hearing in terms of feedback for the draft, it just makes sense to go after weighing all the options out. Look at that. A redemption story for Kyle McCord. Do you think Kyle McCord is the biggest Texas fan tonight? I mean, they kind of did him dirty a little bit at Ohio State.
Yeah. They did him wrong. Also, just keep his stock above anyone else's, you know.
What do you mean? What?
Just any other quarterback. Just, hey, I want Carson Beck isn't going pro anymore. My stock was higher than that guy's. I'm going to go pro.
I don't even know what the QB draft board looks like at this moment. Like, what would be the ranking of them?
Shador, Cam Ward, 1, 2, somewhere.
Yeah.
After that, I have no earthly idea. Hunter Deckers, number 3.
Shador, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe.
Hunter Deckers is better than that on my
Quinn Ewers.
Quinn.
Kyle McCord, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, Curtis Rourke, Jackson Dart, Riley Leonard, Donovan Smith, Kevin Jennings. Okay, so this is not great.
Kevin Jennings?
Kevin Jennings. He of throwing many interceptions in the cold against Penn State a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
From SMU.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, I have received a text from Steve Sipple.
Oh.
I'm ready now.
What do you want to do with that?
We could call him at 1.
Okay.
We'll call him after this segment.
Get his opinion on Rudy.
First, I saw this. Yeah, we'll get his opinion on Rudy. Headline: favorite friendly NFL season costs FanDuel $370 million.
Goo.
Apparently it was a good season for NFL favorites, which made it a bad one for the sports books. And you know, there's a lot of like money, you know, mumbo jumbo in here, but basically it amounts to I don't care that FanDuel lost a bunch of money, right?
They probably also made a bunch of money.
They probably made much money, but comparatively they lost money. Favorites this year in the NFL, I want to talk about this part of it. Favorites this year in the NFL went 195-77 straight up and 144-121-7 against the spread. And of course, the favorites are generally the preferred side of the betting public.
That's what I did last night.
People bet the favorites. It's hard to go out on a limb and say, I think the underdog is either going to win this game or cover this line or whatever it might be. What's the favorite has a better chance. And so 144-121-7 in the NFL this year, which is of course the most bet on thing that we have, the NFL. It's a pretty staggering number. That's a pretty big gap. And so this year, it just so happened to be that the favorites won up, you know, the majority of the times they were up against. And we're talking about, you know, $370 million it's not a lot for probably a sports book, but
chalky season.
And 144-121-7 doesn't necessarily sound like a huge gap, but it is. We're talking about in the margins here. Generally, you're not straying outside of, you know, 5, 10, 15 wins either way, one direction or the other. It just so happened that this year we kind of got lucky. This is or unlucky, I guess, if you're the sports book, but lucky for the betting public. It was a little chalky. It's been a little chalky. So if you got into sports betting this year and you decided to, I could do this, so just pick teams to win, I could win. You picked the right year. You may have profited off of this.
Be interested a guy like Allen's take on something like that.
Yeah. We will we can ask him about it on Tuesday if I ever remember to do this.
We will not.
No. We're probably not going to. All right, we still have basketball to talk about. In fact, let's do a little let's do a little Nebrasketball right now. Because we're going to talk to Sipple and we're going to get our picks and then we're going to get out of here. So Nebraska heads to Mackey on Sunday. Nebraska is 0-8 all-time at Mackey Arena. And the Purdue Boilermakers. A few questions. Does Nebraska have the answers for Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer? Kaufman-Renn is probably Kaufman-Renn. I mean, if we think way back to Trey Kaufman-Renn, we think about Creighton's exhibition with Purdue and sort of that first look at him. He was the guy who was giving Creighton some problems. One of the guys who was giving Creighton some problems this year. Guard-heavy teams against Nebraska this year are the ones I'm a little bit more concerned about, right, from a matchup perspective. And this is certainly one of them. I mean, Braden Smith has been incredible. And remember, he was supposed to, he was taking over the sort of reins this year for Purdue after Edey leaves. Can he do it without Edey? And he's really done it. He's done a really, really good job. He's proven to be one of the best guards in the country. So I think this is a good barometer game for Nebraska. Purdue's right at the back end of the top 25. I think they occupy the space right now that Nebraska feels like it should. We want to be sitting right there in the top 25 to 30 to 40 teams in America. Like a lot of people have made the case this year, Josh, I've heard it,
that the Broncos will beat the Bills.
Many people apparently are making that case.
Okay.
They make the case that if Nebraska didn't have Nebraska, if Nebraska's name wasn't Nebraska, they'd be in the top 25.
I feel like I hear that every year.
Okay, so let's go see. What does it look like compared to a team in a tough road environment with some winning pedigree? Purdue, even though they don't have the big man from last year, they do have some winning pedigree for sure, still on the roster. So I think it's an important one for Nebraska. As we talked about with BC earlier, not if you lose, it's not the biggest loss in the world. If you win, it's a nice little boost for you. It feels really good. It's one of those games that sort of sits in the middle a little bit, but I think it's a good barometer game because that's the type of team you want to be compared to. That's a team that could win a game in the NCAA tournament. Nebraska could win a game in the NCAA tournament.
All sarcasm aside, genuinely.
Nebraska could win a game in the NCAA tournament.
This season, after a loss, Nebraska has played really well.
They always do. It's not just this season. They always do. Yeah. They always respond.
There's
something in the water at Nebraska, and I don't know what it is, but whenever they get their teeth kicked in or they suffer some sort of like horribly painful loss, and you're like,
Minnesota
oh boy,
last year.
You're like, oh boy, how are they going to respond to this thing? They always do. Mm-hmm. We just have to prevent the horrifying things from happening.
We'll figure that out later.
And then quickly, I guess we could do Creighton as well. Creighton heads to a very good American city to take on a very mid basketball team.
Disagree about the former.
In a building that is apparently impossible to win in.
Well, those early games, the light comes in. And
I love that. I am a sucker for that. It's great. Maybe I'm just corny as hell. I like Hoosiers.
you like Hoosiers too? Oh god.
Yeah, I like when the sun comes in. Sue me.
You're the whitest guy I know.
I am. These are very white things that I'm saying right
Hoosiers,
now.
Rudy, Butler.
Yeah. So it's not impossible. Creighton has won 2 in a row actually at Hinkle now. But before that, they lost 5 in a row. They're 4-7 against Butler at Hinkle since they joined the league. Not a sparkling record. And I always like to remind people that they did clinch their first modern Sweet 16 by beating Ohio in Hinkle Fieldhouse in 2021, but that feels fake.
Okay.
Do you remember that, Josh, when they beat Ohio to go to the Sweet 16? That's right. Nobody does. They beat I don't even know who they beat in the first, Santa Barbara or something like that, whatever it was. They won the first game, and then they beat Ohio. And the first game was actually at Lucas Oil. It was at the big football stadium, the big trash can. And then they moved over to Hinkle, and they beat Ohio. And then they played Gonzaga. Creighton was obviously the worst team left standing in the NCAA tournament, and they played Gonzaga and got smoked. And that was also at Hinkle. Butler has lost 8 in a row, which sort of scares me.
Can I ask questions about that very quickly?
Yes.
I mean, this is a very tough schedule they've played over this 8, but also there's a loss to North Dakota State in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a loss to Villanova in there. Is Villanova turning it around?
Yes.
Okay.
The simple answer to that question is yes.
I don't like that. At Providence? Providence isn't.
It's not a crime to lose to Providence on the road.
Sure. Road conference game, sure.
They're not very good.
Okay.
I mean, they're mid. They're mid.
I just didn't know. Like, okay, are we blaming it on the schedule? Or are we blaming it on what are we blaming it on? Their midness?
They're just a fine basketball team.
That's fine.
But we remember the game in Omaha last year. I believe it was 99-98.
Yes.
Jamil Telfort, I don't think missed in that game. He is back. Pierre Brooks is back. They have a McCaffrey, Patrick, and they have another one on their staff, and that's Caitlin Clark's boyfriend.
That's right. Will she be at the game?
Maybe. Oh, maybe. And they have one of my favorite names in college basketball, Finley Bizjack. It's not that funny, Josh, but it is funny.
No, that's a funny name.
I love Finley Bizjack.
You got to be careful.
I
it's
love
like
that.
Jazz Chisholm. You have to be careful.
So,
got to be careful here.
It's Creighton at 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That means John's going to be on at 10:30. That means the pregame show will start at 10, 9:30.
There you go.
9:30.
Shoot around.
9:30 with shoot around. Get up early, have your coffee, and enjoy some Creighton basketball tomorrow. One more thing before we take a break and talk to Sipple, because that will be happening. Tonight, a momentous occasion.
The Cotton Bowl.
No, in Omaha, a momentous occasion. Josh, what's going on in Omaha tonight? People are going to go to Spaghetti Works.
Well, if you can get a table.
Yeah.
We're unfurling a banner.
That is exactly right.
We don't do that in this town often.
The Omaha Supernovas will have the big ceremony after winning the championship last year. They will host the Atlanta Vibe in their season opener this evening at CHI Health Center. And would you like to go? Would you like to have 4 tickets to the game tonight?
I would, Connor. Thank you.
Well, you're not eligible, but the listeners of this show out there, everyone outside of this room is eligible. If they call 951-1620 right now and be caller number 4. 951-1620 right now gets 4 tickets to tonight's Omaha Supernovas season opener. Once again, 951-1620, caller number 4. Back after this with Sipple on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
Hey!
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha!
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
That's right. We're joined now on the phone by Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Sipple, hello. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday to you. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. I'm excited for a weekend of basketball and football.
It's glorious, isn't it?
It is. You were at the basketball game. I saw you.
Yes, I saw you in your new jacket.
Yeah. You really like that jacket?
I did. It's sporty.
It's from Costco.
Well, whatever. It's sporty.
I'm just saying, if you really want one, you can get one at Costco.
And you know what? I'm due for a new coat. It's interesting. We're having this conversation. I have kind of a 5-year-old coat that's starting to look pretty shabby, missing a butt and all that. So yeah, I'm in the market.
All right, what have you been up to this week? How's the week been? It's the never-ending cycle of the transfer portal and everything that goes along with that.
Yeah, I think I'd say my week has been mostly revolved around that sort of thing. You kind of get a lot. You try to learn about these players who are coming or may come. Write about them. It's a lot. It's been a lot. I mean, there's been 32 transfer portal visitors to Nebraska's campus since December 11th. I think the number 16 now that they've locked up. So that's a lot. I mean, think about it. That's a lot of activity. And the roster's changed, I would say, dramatically.
So they got Elijah Pritchett this week. And we've spent plenty of time talking about what he might bring to the table as a player. But I'm interested from you, and you wrote about this a little bit. You could talk about this as much as or as little as you want. The process now of getting a transfer portal player either on your campus to visit or ultimately at your school. Obviously, it's very different than it has been in the past. I'm curious, what it was like for him and for any other guy that Nebraska's, because there's varying levels of it, right? Simple, like there's some that are really complicated and there's some that just aren't.
Right. It depends on the player you're talking about. And really, I think what you're talking about is the profile of the player. A player like, what's his name? Shiaz Pete.
Yeah.
Who's the New Mexico State left tackle. He's a very high profile left tackle, 6'8", 320, multiple year starter at New Mexico State. He'll command $1 million. Or probably more, maybe north of $1 million. I think what you're alluding to is his representation. He has a high-profile agent, Ryan Tolner, who's also the agent for Jared Goff and Marcus Mariota and Brandon Cook. Is it Brandon Cooks?
Cooks.
Yeah. He's negotiated $1 billion a deal in his career. He's not taking a player who's worth probably $300,000. I mean, I got to think you've got to be almost worth $1 million for him to even take you on as a client. So that's what you're dealing with. I mean, in college basketball, an assistant coach told me that he was a power conference assistant, said, in recruiting now, we don't even talk to players. We talk to their agents, the high profile players, local players, you probably talk to them in a traditional recruiting sense, but the recruiting now is much different because the agents you're talking to agents,
right,
a lot as coaches. So yeah, it's quite a bit different, but some of it does depend on the level of player.
Do you think the agents like working with college players, given that the market is, it's different and it's more wide open and it's quieter and it's not as official and all of those things. I wonder what the difference is for those agents in particular working with NFL people and then working with people who are just in the transfer portal in college.
Yeah, my experience with money is you don't overthink it. Just you get the percentage, and And, the system's the system. I don't imagine this system is going to be like this much longer. I think there's a lot of volatility right now because I think there's this sort of working knowledge that it's not going to be like this. There'll be more structure going forward. But right now in this moment of time, there's not much structure. And there's a lot of money and not much structure. If I were an agent, I wouldn't overthink it. I'd just try to make a pile of money.
Where do you start in the process of trying to figure out what this is going to look like going forward? Because we all say that. I've said it before. I don't think it's going to look like this for much longer. I don't know how long this could last, and there's definitely changes coming. We know that. But what might it look like going forward? Because I feel like, to a certain extent, now that we've taken the player movement piece and the high earnings potential piece out of the bottle, I suppose, if you will, it's hard to recork that thing.
Yeah, well, I think that to try to, get your mind around it, is July 1 is a big date, I think, because that's when the revenue share model starts to kick in. I just think in looking ahead, there's going to be more structure because there's going to be revenue sharing, and all teams are going to have a certain amount of money. All programs are going to have a certain amount of money. All athletic departments.
Yeah, but the NIL part is still going to be there.
It will for a lot of places. It will be less significant everywhere, but it'll be. Yeah, at Nebraska. One way to put this all in perspective, Nebraska is very fortunate. Nebraska fans, I hope they understand how fortunate they are that they're going to have the full pot of revenue share money, $20.5 million. Nebraska is in position to do that. Not all schools are. In fact, I'd say half the Big 12 is in position to have the full pot of revenue share money. Nebraska gets that bonus of having a very viable NIL operation. So Nebraska has an advantage over a lot of athletic departments nationwide. They have an advantage. They have to make it count now. And I'm not saying they have to make it count immediately, but in the next few years, it should begin to manifest itself in some pretty good seasons. Because you're fortunate as an athletic department to have this very rabid fan base, full arenas. The booster situation isn't crazy good. You don't have it as good as Texas Tech. Right. Texas Tech has multiple billionaires that are willing to jump in. Nebraska doesn't have that, but it's still pretty good.
Right. Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com was with us. Okay. Yeah, it's something that I'm constantly curious about, and it's always changing. So I'm glad you have done a good job of contextualizing it over the last several. Like you're writing about it a lot these days.
Yeah, you can't help but do it.
Right.
It's just you have to. It's part of the deal. I don't even find it to be that repulsive.
I know, because for a long time it was sort of taboo. Like we don't really talk about it, but and some of that is just us being sports fans, right? We just care about the sports. So maybe people don't actually care about this piece, but it's a heavy part in the player acquisition part of it.
Right. And the good news is, here's the thing though. We're lucky during the season. It's less of a conversation. Unfortunately, we're heading into the part of the calendar where
it's the only
tends to dominate. But like last night, were you thinking about rev share as you're watching an epic game at Notre Dame and Penn State? Probably not.
No, I was thinking about oranges.
And why were you thinking about orange?
Well, it was the Orange Bowl, and then they brought out the big trophy with a bunch of oranges in it, and I thought, man, those oranges look pretty good. I'm going to go get one.
Yeah, you can go get those at the store, Happer.
I did. I went upstairs to my kitchen, and I got one, and I ate it.
Good for you. You need to stay healthy.
Thank you.
You do.
From a football perspective, what do you like or dislike, or what is your evaluation of the pieces that Nebraska has brought on to play defense for it out of the transfer portal? What, like, it's not a done situation yet. It's kind of ever evolving, but they've restocked the cabinet a little bit on the defensive side of the ball, and they got themselves a few starters. How do you feel about what they've done on that side of the ball in particular over the last month or two?
Excited. I'm excited to see what it all looks like, because I think it's going to look pretty good. You know, I think like when the guys that I'm talking about are like a Williams Noiri, the transfer from Missouri, there's just turn on the film and you'll understand. I get it. He didn't do much at Missouri as a freshman. It doesn't bother me in the least. It's hard in the SEC to do much as a freshman up front. But I think he has great potential. I think we can all agree on that. Deshaun McCullough, he's going to play probably like an outside linebacker, pass rusher position. He played 913 snaps at Oklahoma. Watch him. Just watch him. I mean, he's 6'5", 240 or whatever he is. Great looking athlete. You're going to add him to the mix. You're going to add Marquise Watson-Trent, probably maybe as an inside linebacker starter, but Nebraska got a big pickup, kind of a pickup in its own unique way when Javen Wright, and now he's coming back for a 7th year. I like that picture at inside linebacker with Javen Wright, Vincent Shavers, and Marquise Watson-Trent, the transfer. I love that. I mean, I was kind of worried about inside linebacker because they lost some key guys there, mainly John Bullock. But wow, I thought they're losing Javen Wright. They're not. So now you look at those 3 guys: Vincent Shavers, Javen Wright, Marquise Watson-Trent. Wow. I mean, you got something there. I don't know. I don't have as good a feel for the defensive backs they've brought in. I do like Jameer Khan. I mean, if you again watch his high school tape, he's a hard-hitting, aggressive, feisty corner. Looks like he can play a good man-to-man coverage. I don't know. I mean, that's all stuff you'll get a better feel for in the spring. But I would give them an A. I'd give Rule and his staff for what they've brought in an A, and they really have a chance to put an exclamation point on it. With if you're going to get Jonah Wilson, you're going to get another receiver. And I think they're really in a good place with Shaez Pete. It's not final, and it's a tricky one. He's tough. He's really highly coveted. But I know he had a good visit, and if you add him, that might be your starting left tackle. You got I know I went to offense here. You got Elijah Pritchett.
Yeah.
Maybe my guess is he'd be the starting right tackle. Maybe. I mean, Teddy's got something to say about that, and Turner Corcoran has something to say, and Gunner. They all have something to say about it. But I'm sort of amazed. I mean, Nebraska, I think they've just done an outstanding job in the portal.
I agree. They've done better than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure. And they're still not done. There's still going to be probably a few more that trickle in here, and then who knows what happens after spring ball as well. All right, Sipple. Enjoy your weekend. We will talk to you soon.
Costco. I might be heading that way. Okay.
It's a good jacket. You get yourself one.
Gotta stay warm. Thank you, guys.
Goodbye. That's Steve Sipple from HuskerOnline.com. He really liked that jacket. Costco. Now, he probably doesn't know that you have to have a membership to go. Ooh, ouch.
What do you mean I can't go in the store? It's a store.
Yeah, so I went over to Costco. And they wouldn't let me in. I had to borrow somebody else's membership. All right. Let's talk about these NFL playoff games. This late run on Denver. What? Why are you laughing?
I don't believe it's real.
See, this is going to look horrendous for us when Denver wins.
It's going to be hilarious Monday.
I don't want to be an idiot.
You're not an idiot.
Thank
Your
you, Jack.
picks are good.
I definitely believe you. All right. Back with the picks for the weekend coming up on 1620, The Zone. Unfortunately for Drew Allar, they were just showing Drew Allar highlights on television.
I believe those are called lowlights.
So when you compared the two quarterbacks going into last night between Riley Leonard and Drew Allar, like who's the more obvious NFL prospect?
Drew
Allar, right? He's got not that Riley Leonard's no schlub, but I'm like, you put these two guys next to each other, you put their stats up, you watch them work. You're like, yeah, I think I like Drew Allar. But I appreciate a guy, and it's never going to be a guy that you draft in the first round or the second round. But you know what Riley Leonard has done, and he's made his career out of now at Notre Dame and might win a national championship out of it. He's super functional, right? He does what is necessary. Because I didn't think the running piece was like a huge part of his game, but I mean at times when he's under duress, like he gets tough yards, like he's a good runner, and he functionally makes the throws. And so I think there's what people normally refer to that as is like grit. You know what they a
lot of people have called Riley Leonard gritty.
If you put it underneath an umbrella, they call it grit. I call it like functionality, right? Because what good is it if you got not to go back to Porsches and stuff like that, but what good is it if you got a Porsche and it doesn't work? The engine falls out every time you turn it on.
That would never happen with a Porsche. It's better than a Lamborghini.
Oh, sorry, a Lamborghini.
Also, what is a free throw line?
But like Allar looks it and has the tools, but then has trouble executing the throws.
He does some dumb stuff.
He does some dumb stuff
frequently.
Right? So I don't know. There might be a ceiling on Riley Leonard.
Yes.
A lower ceiling than there is on Drew Allar, but definitely a higher floor. I like the functional guy.
I feel like Riley Leonard's going to hold a clipboard. He's going to be a legend at the bank.
Mike says feels like a serviceable NFL backup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might stick around for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
One of those type of guys. All the glory to God.
My mom texts me that I suck every morning.
Do you think God made that field goal randomly turn left?
Yes, I do actually.
I think that many people were talking about this last night. They were like, I think God blew that field goal because it was one of those zoo,
Had some English on it.
Yeah, it sure did. All right, Josh. It is no longer Super Wild Card Weekend. It's just Wild Card Weekend.
It's super right here in my heart.
It's super to me too. I will enjoy it. None of the games are certified like this is appointment television, but they are NFL playoff games. And the odds tell us that there will be at least one thing that we don't expect to happen this weekend.
Fun.
As far as a result is concerned. Maybe it's the Denver Broncos.
It might be good. At this point, it might be good for the show if the Broncos did win.
It would be I don't want that. I don't want that. Who wants Denver who wants Denver in Kansas City?
I've seen it.
Yeah, like we saw Denver versus Kansas City's twos last week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go in chronological order here. Tomorrow afternoon is the first wild card game, the first NFL playoff game. It'll be in Houston, Texas, where the Los Angeles Chargers are a 3-point favorite tomorrow on CBS. Josh, who do you like?
I like the Chargers. I think Harbaugh is destined to, he loves this kind of 4-5 matchup where he's got to break down another quarterback who's good, and they'll find a way to win.
I think the Chargers have consistently, there's something about a team when they have this linear growth. Like you can see it, right? They just kind of keep getting better and better and better and better and better, and a couple, bumps along the way. But Jim Harbaugh teams, you know what they do? They love Jim Harbaugh. They buy into Jim Harbaugh. And the same can be said for D'Amico Ryans in Houston, but they've just been way too shaky this year for me. I have gone from full on thinking that CJ Stroud was going to be the next dude of this league to full on, I can't trust him this year. I know it's probably an overreaction. It's just a sophomore slump or whatever, and he's missing wide receivers, but I can't trust that guy in a playoff game right now. So give me Justin Hebert and my guy, Ladd McConkey. I love Ladd McConkey.
Hell yeah.
Chargers by more than 3. Saturday night in Baltimore, the Ravens are 9.5-point favorites against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 7 o'clock on Amazon Prime.
People forget.
I feel uncomfortable about that large of a number.
It's a big number.
However, Pittsburgh, the defense, not been doing it for me lately. And we haven't even talked about their offense. I just, feels like you could maybe they have like a George Pickens situation going on there. What's going on? What's the whole Najee Harris, Jalen Warren thing? What's the quarterback doing? Like, it's just the reason we always give Tomlin credit for winning all the games that he does is because they always, outside of Tomlin, seem to be kind of a dumpster fire. There's so many things going on.
He is such a stabilizing force on that team.
I think that's right. However, you can make the case all these things always happen under his watch.
Always.
Long preamble, but I'm taking Baltimore. I hate taking a 9.5-point favorite with the points in the playoffs. I hate it.
I'm taking the Ravens here as well, buddy.
I dislike it. I'm not a fan of it. But
I've seen the Steelers play since Thanksgiving.
And we will see Andrew Whitworth in his hoodie.
Oh, that's right.
In the pregame show.
What weird antics will Ryan Fitzpatrick get into?
What's is Kirk going to be with him? I would assume so.
Kirk and Al, yeah.
Kirk and Al. All right. Kirk probably was busy doing takes about Ohio State.
Yeah, the Ravens bought their team.
Sunday afternoon at noon, God's time, according to the NFL.
Oh.
The Denver Broncos take on the 2-seed Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The Bills are 8-point favorites Sunday afternoon on CBS. Josh, have you been coaxed?
Not even a little bit. Do I think the Bills will win by 2
we're going to have the
possessions?
same picks, and
yes.
we are both equally as steadfast on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let some wacko come in here, wacko Broncos fan come in here and tell me that they think Denver could give them a real run for their money.
Hey, me and my Broncos friends think that the Broncos are going to win. Oh, of course, all you Broncos fans think your Broncos are going to win.
At the same time, they always, all the Denver fans always say, well, we're playing with house money. Well, how could it be both? Do you think you're going to win? Like, you think you've taken the we're playing with house money thing and I'm just happy to be there thing to we're going to win the game? If you're playing with house money, that means you don't belong, baby. Mm-hmm. You got to go home. Buffalo to cover.
And I want to hear
Josh Allen.
I don't want to hear any, Steelers fans told me that my team's good.
Good. All right, 2 more. We are on the favorites so far, although we do have a seed upset according to our picks with the Chargers. Go Chargers. The Green Bay Packers make a visit to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles of Philadelphia, who are 4.5-point Philadelphian favorites. 3:30 on Big Fox. Josh, this is intriguing to me. Because as we were discussing with Alan Bell earlier in the week, you could definitely make the case to me that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go to and win the Super Bowl.
That's right.
You could make the case to me that they lose this weekend. 4.5 points. What does Vegas think? They don't know. 4.5 points tells you exactly that. Packers fans this week have been triggered. They've been seasons over barricading in their holes all week. Philly fans are as confident as ever.
That's their MO.
Interesting. Interesting on both accounts. Give me the Green Bay Packers to cover the 4.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles of Philadelphia on Sunday.
I like when you say it like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I got you.
This
You're gonna say no. No.
This is the one, Connor. This is the one. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Both teams feel that their team is broken.
So you're agreeing with me?
I think the Packers win the football game.
This is horrific. We're going to get all of these wrong.
Or we know ball.
And we end on Sunday night. The Washington Football Commanders of Washington are at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who found their way to the 3 seed. The Bucs are 3-point favorites, and Baker Mayfield is cooking right now. 7 o'clock on NBC Sunday night with Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. Here's a guy. All right, so 2 options. Is this the Jaden Daniels, playoff coming out party? And we have big Jaden Daniels love fest going into next week? Or is it the Baker Mayfield redemption story arc that continues on and on? I have very much enjoyed watching Tampa this year. It's a fun team to watch. It feels like they're always hurt. Is Bucky Irving ever going to play? Is he ever healthy? He always plays. He plays every time. Godwin went down earlier in the season. Their defense is still pretty dang stout. I like Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay.
Connor, I'm sorry. I also like Tampa Bay.
We should have even done this. We should have just ended the show at 110 or whatever.
Who you like in the Cotton Bowl tonight?
I like Ohio State.
Oh,
Josh.
I do too. Did you bet on him? I bet on him.
I'd like to take Ohio State in that game.
Bold.
Yeah.
They called us crazy for picking most of the favorites.
Alex and Lincoln says going to get a lot of crap if the Broncos win. You don't want that. We are. We've weirdly backed ourselves into this.
Stibbs is going to call out of work on Monday and come here.
Yeah.
Be here at 10 a.m. just to laugh at us for 4 hours.
Travis in the comments is going to be like, that's what you get.
Told you Texas won, my wife's happy, and the Broncos won, and I'm happy.
Wow.
That's Travis on
that
Monday.
Would be horrendous.
Yeah, what a world.
Imagine if Josh Allen was not in the playoffs next week.
Right?
That would be sad.
Just went on a honeymoon with his hot wife.
I would feel horrible for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
All right, those are our picks for the weekend. We have poll questions, and we will tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Hope you've had a good week. Josh knows ball, as we discovered, because he was correct on many predictions that everyone told him he'd be wrong on.
That's right. Everyone told me Carson Beck isn't going to go to Miami. Why?
Everyone told me that Notre Dame would never win the football game.
Why would you pick the favorite?
I like this as a bit that you're doing.
Go on a limb.
Josh, do we have any poll questions today?
No, we don't. Too busy.
What happened? We weren't even busy.
We
so made busy. Jokes. You don't think we made jokes? I felt like I had a poll question in the crossover. Something involving young dear baby boy Matt McMaster.
He's usually good for a poll question or two.
He usually is. Instead,
do you have a Taylor?
Yes, it's not worth it now. It's over.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
0 poll questions today. Although we did have one yesterday afternoon, and I don't even know what it was in reference to. Was it a good reference?
Oh, that's right. Nick made a Kung Fu Panda reference.
Oh,
he knows Kung Fu Panda.
No,
but not what the lines on the basketball floor mean.
That's just his generation. So, instead, I would like to read you a couple comments from NFL fan bases opining on or fans of NFL teams who comment on this show who are commenting on their NFL teams.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
Ready.
This one is from Hockey Dad.
Hi, Hockey Dad.
Steelers fan here. We suck and should get crushed. Major changes needed.
Major change?
Is there anyone who likes their NFL team? Aaron.
Chiefs fans.
I'm not confident as a Packers fan to win, but I'm also not scared of Philly. And giving us a little key guy, remember Edrin Cooper. He will be the key to the game both ways, and screens and deep shots. Packers use Philly's aggressive front against them. Jordan Love can definitely chuck that thing. He doesn't need any feet to do it, apparently.
He's going to have to chuck that thing.
Yeah. So back to the original question. Does any NFL fan like their team? Does anybody feel good?
I don't think so.
We asked Munson earlier in the show, and he was like, I don't know about the 9. We asked BC, and he was like, yeah, we're probably going to lose. You know, LA's got too much heart on its sleeve right now. The only people that we've heard from today who like their team, the Denver Broncos fans.
That's right.
Who have the most daunting task of the weekend.
Biggest daunt.
What could that possibly mean? Is it mean that everybody else is overreacting and the Broncos fans are correct to be very confident in their team? Could it possibly mean that the Broncos fans are wrong and actually their young quarterback who people like because he runs around and kind of makes plays turns out to be a pumpkin at the end of the day?
That would be terrible.
But their defense is still good, Josh. Mm-hmm. Defense is still good. I don't know. We'll find out this weekend. All right, so no polls, Josh. What are we watching throughout the well, we're just doing tonight or are we doing the weekend?
We're doing the whole weekend, Connor.
Hell yeah.
College football playoff semifinal at the Cotton Bowl Classic, Ohio State and Texas. 6:30 on ESPN. You got the Megacast as well. Pat McAfee on the Deuce. Skycast on ESPN News. Command Center on ESPNU. SEC Network will have the Texas radio call. Tomorrow at noon on NBC, it is the 2025 Navy All-American Bowl.
Thank you.
Linebacker Christian Jones from Westside will be participating in that one.
Cortez Mills.
That's right, him as well. 11 a.m. Saturday on CBS Sports Network, the 2025 Hula Bowl. Hunter Deckers will be one of 7 quarterbacks in the game in the Bounce House of Orlando. NFL playoffs, we went through a lot of these.
They do that in Orlando now.
Yeah. Chargers Texans 3:30 tomorrow on CBS. I think on Nickelodeon as well. That's what my plan is, at least.
All right.
Steelers Ravens 7:00 tomorrow on Prime. Broncos Bills noon Sunday on CBS. Packers Eagles 3:30 Sunday Fox, and your Sunday night game Commanders Bucks on NBC. Men's basketball Creighton at Butler 11 a.m. tomorrow on Big Fox. Our coverage here on 1620 The Zone begins with shoot around at 9:30. John Bishop takes you inside the arena at 10:30. Number 5, Alabama at number 10, Texas A&M, 7 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN. Same time on SEC Network. Number 6, Kentucky is at number 14, Mississippi State. And 11 a.m. Sunday on Big Ten Network, Nebraska is at the Mackey to take on number 20, Purdue.
They're going to do the dance to Sandstorm.
Oh, is that what they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching that.
Yep.
Women's basketball, number 5, Texas is at number 2, South Carolina. Noon on Sunday on ESPN. Bruins Panthers, your lone hockey game this weekend. Noon tomorrow on ABC. Couple of volleyball games tonight. 7 o'clock on Nebraska Public Media. The Atlanta Vibe come to town for banner night here for the Omaha Supernovas. A rematch of the finals, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. Merritt Beeson makes her pro debut for Atlanta. Allie Batenhorst and Lindsey Krause. Krause, make their pro debuts for Omaha.
Kendra Waite.
Yes, as well. And then the one volleyball league, the League One volleyball, that debuts tonight as well. Omaha is in Houston at 7 o'clock. You can watch that on ESPN Plus. Lexi Rodriguez makes her professional debut. 5 Huskers and a Blue Jay on that roster. Jordan Larson, ever heard of her?
I have.
So that's what to watch this weekend.
Awesome. So I was just reading about this wildcard Nickelodeon situation.
Yes. Who's doing the game? Some child?
Well, I'll tell you exactly who's doing the
Some
game.
Nepo baby?
Oh, you nailed it.
It always is.
So are you ready to hear the broadcast crew?
Sure.
It will be Nate Burleson.
He's done it in the past.
With Adam Schefter's daughter.
Oh, wow.
And Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob. The chipmunk or whatever she is.
Yeah.
So that'll be the broadcast.
This is good. That's why my son wants to watch it. He said, SpongeBob's doing a football game. And I said, oh, okay. Yes, we will watch that.
Burleson told CBSSports.com on Monday, quote, I can't give you all the sauce, but listen, there's going to be a bunch of new additions to our coverage. We got everyone from Bikini Bottom. We'll have Transformers. I'm a big Rugrats guy. I'm 43, but I kind of caught the tail end of Rugrats, and I hear some of the Rugrats are going to pull up. Whoa. And then we'll have some other surprise classic characters from the Nickelodeon universe. Marvel's got their universe. DC's got their universe. So why not Nickelodeon? So this is going to be a Nickelodeon universe wildcard game. I'll be in the booth as a fan and as a play-by-play guy.
What a sweet gig.
What a deal for Nate Burleson.
You don't have to know a lot. I mean, Nate knows a lot about ball, but you don't have to know anything about ball to be on that broadcast because nobody listening cares.
You kind of have to know more about Rugrats and SpongeBob.
Reptar.
Than about Bull.
Chucky Finster's afraid.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching this weekend. Enjoy it, everybody. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.